All right, this is the December video chat. Few announcements, not that great. What's going on is, well, I said earlier in this, I'm very aware, I said earlier in this year, judge me by what I get done this year. I mean, I still stand by that, but I'm not going to make my goal that I was planning. I think for everything I had planned for this year, I'm about 3 months total behind. However, I have some confidence that I'm going to catch up on it because I really am working with editors now. But it's right now, I basically have another game dungeon almost ready to go, except for the video editing, but that's going to take a while because I'm working with people and audio. So basically, I've recorded, it's written, recorded, and the video footage is there, but I still need to get like the supplemental material and work with a new video editor for how that's going. But it's going to be a long one. Like I'm going to have to backpedal a little bit from what I said last time, where I still don't want to make it just like a plot summary, but there was a lot of stuff that came up in it where I felt like if you know the context of the plot, it makes it even more nuts. So, but the priority starting today pretty much is going to be the Christmas episode. So I want to make sure, even though I'm going to be working with an editor for that, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that's in time for Christmas. And then then I have to do, at some point, I'll probably do the Freeman's Mind Spree is going to be a little bit late. And then there's a couple side videos that I'm trying to get out the door too. So again, I think in total, I'm about 3 months behind. So again, if I said the judgment, what I got done this year, I still stand by that. So I kind of, I screwed up, but it's still on. And hey, I read an article the other day. They're still working on Cyberpunk, on finishing that game. So, I mean, my videos aren't on that scale, but I don't have the option of releasing it early, then patching it afterwards. My stuff has to be done when I release it. So that does mean, yeah, there will be snow in the Christmas episode. I guarantee there will be plenty of snow. So, and this year, will we get a Christmas game? We have to get a replacement Christmas game. I need the double. This is a game I've played a little bit of, and then I realized this was like prime game dungeon material. So I haven't played through it. I'm not 100% sure if it's on Christmas or not. Okay, it's around Christmas, but it's gonna be a Christmas game the same way like Still Life is a Christmas game, you know. So, but it's Christmas-ish, and it's gonna have plenty of snow. So I can guarantee that. Okay, somebody's asking about audio editors. Yeah, you can still. Oh yeah, I shouldn't say that. If you've emailed me about video or audio editing, I have read your email. I replied to several people, but I'm kind of backed up on that too. I will send you a response like that's polished and explains everything. I'm just behind still. And yeah, my email is rosswscott@gmail.com. So let's see. Do I have any other announcements? So yeah, making sure the Christmas episode comes. I was originally gonna have a game dungeon before that, but like the editor I was working with got delayed, so that may or may not happen. So yeah, the apocalypse may have to wait a little bit. That's the one I was planning to have next. But maybe it comes before Christmas, maybe it doesn't. I don't know, but I'm making sure the Christmas one comes before Christmas. That's my plan, and I'll just work on the other stuff as soon as I can, really. You know, with Freeman's Mind and these side videos. Yeah, these side videos, I think some people are going to be really interested in some of them. So I'll just say, and one of them's taken a lot of work behind it. So it's taking more work to make than the games as a service video, but it's still game related, but it's different kind of thing entirely. It doesn't involve the law at all, thankfully. So, okay, I guess I'll start, answering questions. See how far I can go. First is, are there any more Star Trek episodes you intend to explore the question of what happens after the Enterprise leaves? I don't have any in mind. Maybe there's one I forgot about. Though there's going to be a Star Trek cameo in the next, what was originally going to be the next game, the Apocalypse game dungeon one. So there's going to be another Star Trek cameo in that. I do have another video idea similar to that that's not Star Trek related, where it was like a thought that was just bugging me, and I thought I'd make a video on it. That's one of the side videos I wanted to make, but that one's a little lower priority. That one will be actually pretty good to work with a video editor on, because there's nothing special I'm gonna have to be editing particularly for timing with that one. But yeah, if you enjoyed that format, I had another idea for something like that. So, but yeah, that Star Trek one just always bugged me, and when the pandemic was breaking out, it just made it go into overdrive in my mind. So, next question. Ross's games list has no Ross owns a copy notice. How will people know what to gift you for Christmas? Well, yeah, I was actually trying to figure that out myself during the Steam sale, to figure out but I kind of want to put that for two reasons. One, the three really. One, I have a lot of games at this point, especially after my Abandonware raid a couple years ago. I'm still kind of going through those. And, there's a few games I'd be interested in getting a copy of, but it's like I'm well stocked for games. The second reason is it could lead to people buying me multiple copies. Also, can you even gift games on Steam anymore if you're not on the friends list? So that if not, then that would make it more complicated for me. And then the third reason is that would be like an extra thing I need to update, which is low priority for me. So it could be a situation where I already have the game, but I haven't gotten around to updating it because want to get more videos out. And then somebody buys another copy, so I'm like, oh no. And then I need to catch up on some of my Ross's ratings on I'm behind on some of those. I added a cluster of them earlier, but let's see. So yeah, if you want to, I really just need more time to enjoy the stuff I have for Christmas. I don't need lots of gifts. I guess if you wanted to give a gift, like the two, it's like weird specific stuff. I think some of it's going to come up in the questions later, but one of them, well, you can check out my birthday video that I made. That's still pretty much the same. I'm still interested in MMO stories, like the ones that were things just kind of go nuts. Like I am a big fan of those. And yeah, another gift, if you want to attempt, not everybody could do this one, is if you have ideas for sorting music by mood or the general vibe of it, especially soundtracks, let me know. I have like this written up forum email I send to people. I feel like a quest giver with this, where people email me, I give them the quest, and then I usually don't hear back from them. So I feel like a quest giver in a game, and then just watching adventurers go off to some cave to die. But the idea is I'm trying to come up with a system to sort my music. Because the end goal is I want to pick like a general mood or vibe. I've sorted it already ahead of time and then I could just hit random play and then the music would more or less match. I thought at some point AI might step in on that, but I think all the AI solutions are all going to be private and not really accessible to the public unless the music's in that company's database, that sort of thing. So I'm thinking, even though AI is better than ever, I think the public's not really going to have access to it. Is my prediction for this. For AI, it could look at all sorts of variables and match. It could see patterns we can't, and then match music that's similar. Like if you picked one track and then it analyzed it. But so my backup is to just figure out like the criteria for sorting a soundtrack. Like, okay, this is music that would be, this is like rock music that would be good for like a racing game. Or like this is electronic music that might be good if you were studying something. You know, it's not too invasive. Or this is one for like I had some ideas. One would be like if you're playing like in a cafe from the future or something that, you know, has sort of like a more sci-fi vibe to it, but you know, it's not too fast, but it's not as slow as meditative. So yeah, if you're interested in that, send me an email. I'll send you my general letter I've typed up on that. Yeah, there's somebody saying crowdsourcing. This is the sort of thing I should maybe do a stream on. I'm just worried about copyright strikes, even though this would 100% be fair use, because we're here listening to music samples and then trying to categorize it. You know, trying to look. I'm not sure what the penalty is on Twitch for doing that. Like, if the worst that happens, if it just gets muted, we can work with that. But if it's like your channel gets taken down, well, then I kind of don't want to do that. So, yeah, penalty is death from the chat. It can get you banned or muted. Yeah, see, it's and we would be going through like a couple dozen sound samples. I mean, there'd only be like 20 seconds or so. You have to give you a feel of it, but that could be all it takes for the copyright bots to storm in. Okay, somebody's saying if I don't save the video on demand for the music stream, delete it after. Would that be enough though? Yeah, okay, somebody appreciated the Gothos episode. Yeah, if you always wanted the LARP and never could, you absolutely got a taste from it in Gothos for Vampire the Masquerade. Okay, somebody's saying it's Twitch. There's no consistency. Well, you can stream the music through a custom track in OBS and it doesn't store it in the... Well, does it need to store it as a VOD for it to be a problem? Is the question. Because if it's just live and the bot detects it, it's like, all right, warning on the channel or something like that. So, yeah, see, somebody's saying there are people who got banned regardless of deleting the video on demand or VOD. Whatever. Yeah, it's the sort of thing I would like to do, but I'm just not sure of a good way to do it. So, or safe way to do it. Since, I mean, I wouldn't be picking like top. I could limit it to like obscure music, I guess, but it's like, man, do I want to take the gamble? You know, stuff there was never any soundtrack of, that sort of thing. But okay, well, I'll should answer more questions. But yeah, I'm really okay for. I really just need time for Christmas, but may or may not get that. Okay. Yeah, I got several music questions this time, I noticed. Okay, yeah, they're saying that I mentioned a song I remember part of, but don't know the title or the artist. Yeah, I'm like 90% sure that was a free track on mp3.com in the early 2000s. I still remember most of the tune, and I remember a few lyrics. Like, it's like most of the track was like dun 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 dun, and then it cuts to like this chorus music where it's going like wake up, wake up, wake up, and then as it's going saying up, it says like tilt your head back for the full effect, come on. And I remember one of the lines was Jones is like a hyperactive child in a candy shop, and then I think for one of the end portions, one of the lines was actually like, "Help me, Obi-Wan, you're my only hope." And then, "Wake up, wake up." I don't remember the title or the band. I'm sure I would recognize it if I heard it. It's probably the sort of thing where if we wanted to recreate it, I could probably remember like 75% of the tune and maybe like 3% of the lyrics, you know? Uh, I was thinking, I checked my music collection. I don't know if I ended up saving it or it got lost along the way. Uh, if you wanted a chance of it, look online, maybe on Reddit or something. See if there's some data hoarder out there who saved a bunch of tracks from mp3.com back in 2000. It's possible somebody has an archive of that stuff out there. If they do, you know, it might be able to sift through it, and I can maybe like look for names I possibly recognize, that sort of thing. Uh, I was looking on Wikipedia. They said that mp3.com there was like an effort to revive the archive in like 2003 or 2004, and then that got shut down, and then Apple bought it out as part of GarageBand. Yeah, I think that in 2004, then they shut that down in 2005, and then I guess it's just been dead since then. But somebody might have archived it. It's hard to say. I mean, there was like a bit of a MP3.com had a bit of a cult following back then because it was a place to get free music. Most of it wasn't that great, but there were occasional tracks that were decent. So, uh, yeah, I guess try and see if somebody has some of the mp3.com collection from 2000 or so. It might still be possible to get it back, you know. Yes, sorry. If I had the track, I'd release it. I don't. I checked. I really thought it'd be amongst my other stuff, but it must have just fallen through the cracks. Or okay. The Go to Hell episode. You mentioned how Metal Dave enjoyed metal that was more on the noise end of the spectrum. You have preference with more of for metal with more of a tune. Do you have any bands or songs you can use it as an examples? Yeah. Okay. I want to preface this by saying my list is very well. It's not really outdated because the music, it's good music, is still good music, but it's certainly not up to date. It's music. See, I've been hung up on this. Like I've had this kind of obsession to like come up with a system for sorting my music. And then once I have the system, then I'm just gonna like open the floodgates, grab everything I like, put it through the system, and then sort of achieve my own little music paradise. I do. I'll have these thoughts that'll be on the back burner a long time, and then I really will get to a lot of them after long enough. Like right now, I'm kind of been wanting to just rip all these wallpapers from DeviantArt, and I've really started going through that. So, but yeah, I went through some stuff, to give, let's see, to give some starter tracks. And there's one track I'm trying to remember, I can't figure it out, but yeah, okay, well, so just for general bands, like what? I used to like it more, but I've like heard it too much. So I would say like Rob Zombie is an example. But I mean, it's good music. I've just heard it too much now, so I don't really listen to much by that. But I love stuff like Living Dead Girl from that. Return of the Phantom Stranger. Have Rapture as a metal band I like. Let's see, Marilyn Manson, a lot of good stuff. I like the Smash album from Offspring a lot. If you want a sample track from that, like Genocide, I like that one a bunch. That one's more like in the hard rock spectrum maybe than actual metal, but it's, you know, let's see. I think I wrote down another one, but then I lost it. Oh well. Let's see. damn it. What's some more? Well, yeah, Metallica. Oh yeah, I guess for individual songs, this one's a little more on the industrial side, but I love the track. Oh yeah, for soundtracks, yeah, in general, like there's some soundtracks that have like almost every track on there's fantastic. The soundtrack to Spawn is really good. Has a lot of collaborative stuff. Also, Heavy Metal 2000, the movie, a lot of great stuff on that. And then from that, was it KMFDM or however you say it? The song "Missing Time." That one, there's parts of that I just love that one. Uh, yeah, for rap metal, I liked was it Insolence and Methods of Mayhem. There's some tracks on there that are just like instant headbanging material on that. Actually, Alice Cooper is someone where I'm not as crazy about his earlier stuff, but as he's gotten older, it's like I like his music more. So, like there's one I was thinking of, Cold Machines, that's pretty great. Yeah, or they had like an older track in Wayne's World. Was it Feed My Frankenstein? That was fun, but yeah, but that was a little bit lighter on the metal spectrum. Let's see. Let's see. Testament. That was another band I was thinking of. Testament. Yeah, they have some good stuff. Oh yeah, and then I had like a few that I would consider just goofy tracks, but I frigging love them, like just musically. So for goofy tracks, I mentioned it before. That metal cover that guy did of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers theme is just perfect. I mentioned it like when I did the stream, and I think I mentioned it in a previous video chat too. It's so good. Like music that sounds like that, it's just awesome. I can link to it again, even. Another sort of goofy track is from League of Legends. For an April Fool's Day joke, they had was it the Draven theme song? I think there's more than one, but there was like a metal one. And oh man, I could listen to music like that all day. I don't even play League of Legends, but I stumbled into that. It was just exactly my kind of music. Yeah, well, the Earth theme is great too, but that's not really metal. Earth is more like this kind of electronic. Yeah, Welcome to Planet Earth. But yeah, the Draven theme song. I'll link to that too. This episode may have a bunch of links in the YouTube description, but let's see. Another one is another sort of goofy one I have is the Transformers movie theme, I think by Lion. That one's great. I mean, it definitely has like the 80s flavor to it, but like again, I tend to like listen to like the main theme more than like the lyrics or even the singing, and that's just like yeah, for like 80s metal. I mean, you listen to that, it's the thing is, I was never like a huge Transformers fan. I mean, I liked it, but I was like a little young when it was. Yeah, I think I was like 3 or 4 years old when the movie came out, so I didn't watch it until much later. I only caught like a little bit on TV, but you hear that theme, it's like, wow. Yeah, yeah. Here's a challenge: is that the best kids movie theme song ever? The Transformers. Yes, the chat's saying the Transformers movie soundtrack had no right going as hard as it did. It's awesome. But yeah, feel free to make recommendations that have that kind of stuff going on musically, with the sort of goofy tracks. Let's see, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, and this was bugging me because it was in my head. Like, again, it's like I can hum it. I was looking through my collection. I couldn't find it. I don't remember the name. I don't remember the song. But I remember there was one part where it's like, da 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 da. Da 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 da. I think for like I think he's saying something like "smash the mirror, smash them." Although I looked it up, and "Smash the Mirror" is apparently a song from The Who, and it's definitely not The Who. Yeah, like the vocals on that, it's pretty cool. It's almost like he's shouting musically, like da 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 da. So maybe somebody recognizes that, or maybe a copyright bot will flag it and demonetize the video, but then tell me what the song is. So, let's see. So yeah, I mean I really need to catch up on more music. It's just one of my projects that I plan to get to at some point. So yeah, if you want to accelerate it so that at some point in the future I have much better recommendations, then we need to figure out the music sorting system. So, and it's not really metal, but it's just sort of, well, maybe it is. Like, it's more like on the rock end of things. But I was thinking again of heavy metal. There's that track that I like. Was it? I forgot the name song. This is the track where, yeah, Cheap Trick, Reach Out and Take It. That one was really catchy. It's like if I had been directing Guardians of the Galaxy, I would have made this the theme song instead. Because I didn't really care for a lot of the music in Guardians. I know I'm the odd man out on this, but in Guardians of the Galaxy, but that's another like 80s rock that would have fit right in, and I love the tune of that one. That one's from the original heavy metal movie. So, okay, I should move on to some more questions. And if you recognize whatever I was humming, let me know, in the chat there, or in the comments on YouTube later. I can figure out what. I thought it might have been like Cell Dweller, but I couldn't find it, so I don't know. The guy might have had a deeper voice than Cell Dweller. But yeah, I'm woefully behind, so sorry it's not a better answer here. Oh yeah, Ross, considering you're someone who's not into orchestral music and video games, they sound generic and unmemorable. What are some video game orchestral soundtracks that stand out more and are memorable to you? No, that's not correct. I am not against orchestral music in video games. What I'm against is generic orchestral music, where nothing really stands out, and it's just kind of like, and this could be, like, you can't remember the theme. Again, it's maybe sounds like it's being played in the next room, and it's like they just toned down the distinct. I like distinctive music. So, well, a real easy, so yeah, no, don't think for a minute I'm trying to pan orchestra music. Not at all. There can be fantastic themes. But again, it's one of my all-time favorite soundtracks. Castlevania Symphony of the Night. It has a little bit of everything, but the orchestra sections in that are just fantastic. I mean, like, what was it, like the Tower of Mist theme? It's like, dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun. I mean, it's so nice. But then they have the one for like the Alchemy Halls or whatever it's called. That one's great too. And I don't know if it counts, but as orchestra music, but like the Lost Painting is just another wonderful track from that. That is just really fantastic music. See, somebody's mentioning Crysis 2. Yeah, see, Crysis 2, I remember the theme, but I don't remember a lot of the other music. But I haven't played through the game either. So maybe the theme is good, but then it's like that's all they had from what I heard of it. So, yeah, so I'm saying a lot of music. We got, on Game Dungeon, Black Mirror. I mean, that's music that's it's a little more low key, but it's distinctive when you're listening to it. It's like so it doesn't have to be like in your face. It's just like I want to hear the notes. If you have a good theme, I want to hear it. Actually, I remember another track from Fable that was pretty good. Was it the Bowerstone music? That's another one with like a lot of pizzicato strings. I think that's what it's called. And it's like din, do, 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 dum, do, 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 do. So I mean, it's distinctive as like this. Its charm to it. Uh, it worked really well. I thought it's like something I would want to listen to on its own. Another one is was it Shadows of the Empire? Now I'm not sure. Okay, I think what happened, I could be wrong. Star Wars fans can correct me. Is there was a novel, a Star Wars novel, Shadows of the Empire, and then a composer made a soundtrack based on the book, as though it was a movie. And then later they made the game, and then they used a lot from that soundtrack in the game. But that soundtrack's pretty good, and I would argue that I think it's better Star Wars. I think it's a better Star Wars soundtrack than anything that came since. Although, I mean, like the prequels or the Disney trilogy one, I mean, maybe there's some track. Maybe I wasn't paying close enough attention to like the newer ones, but I wouldn't say it's as good as the original, but there's some strong tracks in there, and it definitely has that Star Wars feel to it, and it's like something original. Aside from like, they work in like a little bit of the main motifs, like they have like the original Star Wars credits music at the start, and then I think in one track they have like a bit of the Imperial theme, and then that's it. Like the rest is pretty much original music that fits in the Star Wars thing. But yeah, that had some. Okay, somebody's saying Knights of the Old Republic had a fantastic soundtrack. Okay, I haven't really heard the soundtrack to that, so maybe. Yeah, a lot of the Star Wars soundtracks, they just recycle the original stuff. So, okay, somebody's saying Trine series has good music. I haven't played those. Uh, but yeah, I remember like the sewer theme is like dun 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 dun. And then there's like another sort of speeder chase music that's like real exciting and lively. So, um, yeah, like I think I mentioned before, I don't know if this one is the music being that good or it's just it's good, but I also have like positive image association with it. It's like one of the Supreme Commander tracks where like sometimes if I'm just feel like I have like a really big thing to overcome, like they'll get that in my head. It's like dun 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 dun. I don't know. I think that soundtrack's just kind of okay, but it's like I have a lot of positive association with that one. Though for oh yeah, well Jeremy Soule did the music for Dungeon Siege games also, and I've only heard a little bit of it, but my wife played it so many times. For Guild Wars 2, I remember liking was it the Norn theme? Yeah, if you like the Skyrim music, you might like that. It kind of has like this da-da-da, 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 da-da-da. Like it has the da 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 da. It has like that kind of good, like kind of riveting fantasy music going on. So yeah, no, there's lots of great like orchestra music. I'm not against that at all. It's just that so much. I want to say, except for Symphony of the Night, I'm not sure I've seen a good transition. See, that's what happened with a lot of games is you'll have the previous ones that had like more electronic or chiptune music or something like that were pretty distinctive and sounded cool. And then later they added orchestra music and it sounded watered down. Like, I don't even know the right term for it, but it's like, again, I feel like if you have a good theme, let's hear it. Let's not have it for, drowned out or, yeah, it's like with ambient noise or something. Yeah, actually, I want to say something like Path of Exile, I would consider like most improved soundtrack because the original one, for original Path of Exile, I want to say it's like 95% just kind of droning ambient sound. I mean, yeah, it kind of fits, but there's like almost nothing distinctive in there. And they almost tease me because I remember, I think it's like in the Act 2 town music, most of the time it's going like, and then at one point it just suddenly changes and it's like boom, da, do, like with like this sort of like this pan flute or something, boom, da, do, boom, da, 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 do, and then it goes immediately back to like this droning ambient music. I'm like, no, why not? You had something good, play it for more than 10 seconds, like, you know. However, as time has passed, Path of Exile has had fantastic themes for their kind of mini expansions. Like the Breach theme is great. I love the one for Blight. The Betrayal one's really good. Also there was one, well, this one might have used a little more electronic elements, but I think there was one for, I think when they, for like the Xbox, for the Xbox One announcement trailer, it's really good. It's like boom, dunny dunny, boom, dunny dunny, boom, 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 dunny dunny, boom, 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 da 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 da. Like I wanted it to be longer. Somebody should do like a remix, like an extended version of that part for like the Xbox reveal trailer. It's that part's great. It just gets me kind of really excited listening to it. And I think recently they had like a trailer for some skins where they were making them like Atlantis themed, and they had that thing again where like it didn't last long enough, but they had some really good music ideas going on in there. With it had this kind of underwater feel to it. It's like dun, 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 dun. So yeah, Path of Exile has like vastly improved with their music. So yeah, I'm not even sure what my favorite. The Blight theme is, Blight and Breach are both really good themes. Like. But yeah, so yeah, I'm not against orchestra music at all. Just like give us something to remember. And she may not like me saying this, but like another theme I get in my head sometimes is my wife will sometimes tell me about her problems and be overwhelmed by stuff that's pretty mundane, really. It can be like some Twitter fanfic drama or something like that. And she'll be kind of distressed by it, and like the theme I get in my head when I see her just overwhelmed by like, oh no, these people are saying the wrong things about this fanfic character, and the theme that just comes to my head is from the movie The Black Hole, where it's like do 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 like I'm imagining she's just kind of like lost in this whirlwind of the Twitter drama. So yeah, no, I'm all for orchestra music, but like let's give it. You got to give us something memorable. You know that's what it comes down to. So yeah, and there's been a lot of association with like generic music from movies and games, and just they just water it down. There's just like nothing distinctive, or else they like suppress it somehow. I'm not even sure if you're a composer. I'm sure you're more aware of the terminology for what they're doing. But yeah, okay, good. So apparently, some people are linking it in the chat. Let's see. Was it the black hole theme? Yeah, the black hole theme. Yeah, that movie's a trip. I didn't see that until actually a few years ago. I wanted to see it as a kid, but I think my mother said no. She may have actually made the right call on that one. I might have had nightmares if I saw that as a kid. I forget how old I was. That's one that like starts off like this kind of like typical 70s or 80s sci-fi movie, and then by the end it's just like it's an experience. So, and then like in the middle of it, there's like a little bit of like goofy Disney comic relief, but it just doesn't stick. The movie gets way more intense than that. Okay, so yeah, I should get going, but yeah, orchestra music can be great. It's just you gotta. Oh yeah, that was another one I remembered. See, some songs, like some like older like than chiptune or old synthesized stuff, they can translate well to an orchestra, symphony orchestra. Others, it's not such a great fit. But I heard one that was, I was kind of impressed. They took, was it the castle theme from Super Mario World, like like Bowser's Castle, and turned that into a symphony orchestra, and it was pretty impressive. It worked pretty well for that. It's like dun, 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 dun. Like I think they even had like a pipe organ for part of it, and then they had the strings going. Somebody's asking my opinion on the Halo score. Halo score is kind of like, it's a little hit or miss with me. I think there's like some themes in there that are really good that I like, and others that are just kind of like, well, it's okay. But I think part of the mania for Halo might be the Halo soundtrack might be kind of like me with Supreme Commander, and that they probably have like really good associations with that. Like I like the choir theme at the beginning. I think in the original, there's this one track called Ambient Wonder, which is just kind of like this real kind of like peaceful, positive, almost like meditative music that's really nice. Also, I think in Halo 2, I forget the name of it, but there's one part I really like with strings that's like dun 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 dun. I'm not hitting the right notes here. Dun 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 dun. I think I even edit and they had like one part in the middle that I thought wasn't so good. I think I even edited it out and then just like kept the original kind of part that I liked. So I'm sure Halo fans know which track I'm talking about, but I'm trying to think of some other Halo. Yeah, like the main Halo theme, it is distinctive. It doesn't quite resonate with me as much. Where it's like everybody knows the Halo theme, but yeah, I like the parts with the choir and the. So yeah, actually, my memory's blanking a bit, but I want to say I remember having it like a sort of a counterintuitive experience with Halo 2 Peril. I think that's it. What with Gears of War, where all the stuff that's like more action oriented, I thought was pretty generic and kind of weak, and then like the softer, like sort of reflective moments, I remember those parts being like really nice. So it's not what you would expect. You would think, I mean, Gears of War would have like this real rockin' soundtrack or something, and then it was kind of counterintuitive from what I remember. So. Yeah, see, somebody's saying Bethesda's Fallout. See, Fallout, like the original one, it did kind of have that toned down feel to it, but it really worked. Like they were still kind of getting it had that kind of playing in the next room feel to a lot of the tracks, but there were, I don't know, it just clicked. And then I think with Fallout 3, and I don't know if I've even heard it for Fallout 4, it's like, the very beginning, I liked how it was starting. It's like boom, boom. It's like kind of building, and then they have like a main theme, which is okay. I don't think it's that great, and then everything else just felt generic to me for Fallout 3. So I don't know. I mean, if you really like it, okay, but for sure, like Fallout 1's better music, better. Yeah, Fallout 1 did a real good. Fallout 2 had good music too. I like the the kind of like car travel music, and that's one where it's like toned down, but they really know what they were doing. It's like there's still like even now when I like see the if I'm in it like really hot if I'm in really hot weather, it's incredibly sunny, and I feel like man I need to move or else I'm gonna get sunburned or I need water. I'll start getting like the Fallout music in my head. It's like like this one doesn't hum so well, but and then I like I think it's like what Cons of New California. It's like yeah. Somebody's mentioning Metallic Monks. Yeah, that's that kind of ambient music, but it's really good. You know. I don't know if this one would count as orchestra music, but I was suddenly remembering Homeworld. That one has like this real kind of like Middle Eastern feel to it that ends up working quite well. Yeah, I could go on a long time about this. Look, yeah, geez, I've already spent most of the chat. All right, so more questions. Spent longer than I meant to on that. Recall you referred to Tyrion's writing as book-worthy. That made me curious. What other games would you say have writing that deserve that level of praise? In general, I want to say this is where graphic adventure games shine. You know, like the point-and-click adventure stuff. Like if you want the best stories, that's usually the genre you should go to. Well, one that came to the top of my head because it was mentioned in the last Phantasmagoria 2 chat. Apparently, Lorelei Shannon did assistant writing on The Dagger of Amun-Ra, and I remember being pretty impressed by that. That's like this kind of murder mystery, kind of Agatha Christie style game. But yeah, I felt like it was a little underwhelming, but it certainly could be like a book form. Like I was thinking like The Dig from LucasArts, but yeah, there are others from Sierra that. Well, Rama, but that's well, actually, not really because I mean, yeah, it's based on the book, but it's better. It's more like complementary to the book. I'm not sure if the book didn't exist, it might be a little bit lacking in details. I'm trying to think of some others. Let's see. Yeah, kind of a bit of a blank, but well, you know, I mean, it could be interesting. I was intrigued by the manual. I was thinking of Eternum. Like, you could turn that into a book. You need to fill in some stuff, but there's a lot going on there and a lot of dialogue. I don't know. I'd have to think of some more, but a lot of video game stories. I mean, I think what it is you can get kind of caught up in the whole experience of it, but if you just take the story by itself, they're not always that strong. But well, again, it's not necessarily my favorite, but like the Gabriel Knight games could easily be books. They have a kind of murder mystery feel to them. I'm sure there's a lot more. But yeah, I'd say graphic adventure games are where it's at if you want like the best stories. Let's see. As someone who loves puzzles, have you experienced an escape room? If so, what was your experience? And if not, would you ever try one? I have not done those before. I'm not really dying to do one. And I was thinking, well, why is that? Because I was thinking something bothered me about an escape room. And I think what it is, what clicked with me, I think if I did one, I'd have to be fighting all my instincts because my instincts would be like, all right, you want me to escape. And if I'm really trying to escape, that would probably involve minor property destruction and climbing and stuff like that. So it's like, I have to keep remembering, I'm not really supposed to escape the way. I don't know. My brain, this is a stupid example, but like similar logic. I almost want to say it's like a veteran not wanting to play like a war game or something, because if he's actually in that state of mind, he wants to like be treat it real. And like I feel that way kind of about escaping. If I actually need to escape, my brain's in a different place, like just for puzzles. So it's kind of weird for me mixing them, but I've never tried them. Maybe I'd like it. I don't know, but yeah, it's definitely mixing parts of my brain. Yeah, like part of me just wouldn't see this as a puzzle. Like I think part of me takes escaping too seriously. Actually, I don't know if I've mentioned that. I might have, but I'll recap it since it's relevant. According to my parents, I forget how old I was. Well, I was too old. I was too young to remember. I forget what age they say I was. Apparently, when I was a baby or a toddler, my parents were starting to get concerned about my motor skills or something, where apparently I wasn't showing enough signs of developing things as I should by a certain age. And they were wondering if they like needed to figure out something to accelerate it. And like that same evening, they found out that I had apparently disassembled my crib and escaped from it. So uh, there's something in me that like I think takes escaping seriously. So yeah, like I escaped out of my crib because I disassembled it. So I have no memory of this, but I was too young for that. But my parents have certainly reminded me of that a few times. Let's see. Yeah, and after that, they weren't worried about my my motor skills after seeing that. So they're probably pretty well developed. I mean, I like playing with like Lincoln Logs and Tinker Toys and Legos and stuff as a kid. So let's see. Oh, did you get a chance to check out the Test Drive 3 version 2? The steering is actually tolerable now. No, I didn't. Somebody emailed me about that. I saw your email. I just didn't get around to responding. Although when I was making the post for the Reddit, apparently it's escalating and someone's porting this to Unity, I think, or it might have been Unreal. And what? And they're saying that they're going to be able to have like be able to load maps into it and have like infinite travel and have VR support. So I may just jump straight past the updated version and go straight for the VR version. So I guess all I would say is let's see if we can get the Cape Cod expansion levels in there. Last time I checked, there was like, trouble. Oh yeah, that's from a Dilbert comic. I'm sorry, ma'am. Your son is an engineer. Last time I checked, they were able to extract all the original Test Drive 3 tracks, but they were having trouble getting the Cape Cod ones. Although, I have to wonder if it was good enough, you can maybe get like a small mod community to like create, custom mods for it and like add new things in there, like polygonal giraffes or something, or, secret locations, because that polygon aspect could make it pretty easy to develop for, because the models can be relatively minimal. And then you could have like more elaborate things going on with like the driving. So I don't know. But I'll definitely check out the VR version once that gets there. I can mention the 2.0 version in a follow-up at some point. So. Okay, so in last video chat, you didn't like smart zombies. Yeah, because like, what's the point? Like, why do we even care that they're undead then, Make if you want smart undead, make them vampires. What if there were zombies that acted less like soldiers and more like animals that are known to hunt in packs? Wolves, velociraptors, lions, etc. Would you be open to fighting such zombies in games or seeing them in films and TV? I feel like, if you're if you've died, you've kind of lost something. So it kind of, I guess, why have zombies then as opposed to like cultist or like this weird isolated tribe or something like that? If you want them to hunt in packs, like if they're showing intelligence, it's like, yeah, okay, you basically want animals or velociraptors or something, like the strength of zombies, I think, is, it's like they're back from the dead. And so I mean, like I know there's a debate in the zombie community about fast zombies versus slow ones. And like, I think both can work, though. Yeah, I think it's more like the fast ones can have more of like an initial kind of like the exciting element of it, like, oh god, they're running at me. Like it's much harder for individuals to survive. Whereas the slow ones work on like a psychological existential level, where it's like a reminder that like civilization is gone, like things are upside down now. It's like this is almost like an alien experience, almost. So I really appreciate that. It's like a more subtle thing, but I appreciate it. I feel like if you're trying to like work too many things into zombies, then you're kind of like losing what makes them special from a psychological standpoint. And you should have a different monster. Pick a monster that's better suited. That's alien, like from Aliens. They can hunt in packs and they are terrifying, and it works great. You know. But whereas zombies, it kind of feels like, to me, it just feels like it's kind of forced, for kind of retaining too much of the intelligence. You want to feel like they've lost something, and I think the appeal is it makes like the survivors or the viewer feel like the odd one out. Like you're supposed to be dead, but you're not, so this is what's left for you, and that can create like a kind of a creepy tone for it. Whereas the pack hunting, I don't think would work as well. So yeah, aliens perfect for pack hunting, like that because they have that kind of feral animal aspect to them, but they're kind of have this terrifying, appearance and deadliness to them that complements it. So let's see. You said you're planning on making a censored version of Phantasmagoria 2 episode for your wife. Did it fall through? No, I did that around the same time. I made it unlisted though. I think it's either on Curse Farms junk or thing. But it's censored, but I only censored or cut out like the gore and real bloody parts. Like it still has like the sex scene and the language to it. So it's not exact. I made that for her. So just because it wasn't that it was still all fresh in my brain, that the timeline was there. So it wasn't that hard for me to do it at the time. It only took me like an extra like 20 minutes to put the cut together, and then just most of the time was just rendering it. But I mean, I could give a link to that if people really wanted it, but it's again, it's still I still can't show that on YouTube without having like the adult rating on it. Oh yeah, for people giving me crap about putting that adult rating on it, apparently there was some original definition footage of Phantasmagoria 2 put on YouTube. Somebody emailed me a link about it, and I clicked on it, and it said it had been removed for violating the terms of service, I think because of the nudity in it. So I made the right call, People are saying, oh yeah, you censored it. Well, yeah, I figure better I censor it and don't get a strike on my channel than just let YouTube censor it and get the strikes. So, okay, let's see. Oh yeah, Ross, you're quite experienced with living economically. Do you have any tips or tricks on how to resist the temptation to impulse buy? Yeah, I had to stop and think about this one. You may not like my answer because it's kind of, I feel like this was kind of drilled into me like real early, because like I never had an allowance as a kid. However, yeah, I sort of got a couple financial lessons just by coincidence from my parents. Where like when I was a kid, I mean, I still had to do chores, you know, like you know, pick up stuff, laundry, put away dishes, and things like that. But if I wanted to go above and beyond that and do like yard work, well, actually, I still had to do some yard work too. But if they had like a lot of yard work for me, or I want to say my parents have been renovating as long as I've been alive, so they would always have, they would frequently have like these construction projects I had to help out with, like moving bricks or hammering, or like I remember chipping tiles out. But they would pay me $1 an hour for like the real hard work stuff. And like, so as a kid, I would kind of collect that. I think it connected real early on. You know, if I bought a toy or something, or something, or like from a vending machine or something candy, well, then I don't have money for maybe weeks or months afterwards. So it really, my parents weren't like trying to push that lesson, but like that's the lesson I got from it, is that like I need to really make my money count. And like I remember like we went to, like I remember real early on, like I would want toys, but they were like, I think I remember like He-Man figures or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles being like $4 or $5 in the store. It's like '80s, so prices, I'm sure a lot more now. But like at the flea market, which my dad would go to sometimes, they would have like a bin of them where you get them like a quarter a piece, and that was like a much better deal. Even though sometimes they'd be like scuffed up or like have body parts missing, and I try to find like the good ones from it. So like that was a lot more bang for my buck from that. And whereas, you know, I knew I wanted that stuff, but I had that thought in my head. So it's like I want this, but it's like I'm just gonna have nothing for months if I get this then. Yeah, so I say in the chat, that's all my money. Exactly. So, and then like later, like, and like that mentality really carried over with me. Like I might go to the mall and, you know, I could have fun like window shopping and stuff like that, like, or see new games or watch people in the arcade or something. But like I almost never bought something unless it was extremely deliberate, because I knew that I just would have nothing then. Yeah, and actually, you know, the mall can actually feel sort of oppressive if you just never spend money. You know, if you're hungry, well, too bad. You got to go home if you want to eat and then have like some canned food or something. Like, yeah, you might want the pretzel or hot dog, but you know, do you want it so badly that you don't want that game that I want, you know, a few weeks from now or something like that, or later. And yeah, so the other lesson is they pay me $1 an hour, and that never changed. So I got sort of a gradual lesson about inflation from that too. Yeah, it never went above that, I think. Like I think it might have, I think they might have paid later. I think when I was a teenager, like 15 or something, or a little younger, they had like a big roofing project where, you know, we're just nailing down shingles and hauling tile and tearing up that they really wanted to get done. I think they paid me minimum wage for that one. That was kind of a special exception because they really wanted the roof done on the house. And so that's kind of where it came from for me. I think you might be able to tap into this where it's not a fun feeling at all, but you know how just through daily life, you know, no matter what mood you're in, there's some things you just kind of have to do. Like let's say show up for work or school, and when you're really tired and you just feel like sleeping in. Well, maybe you're lucky enough to have a lax situation for that, but like in high school, you could get in-school suspension, or maybe even fail a grade if you were just late too many times. Like actually, I think that happened to a friend of mine, and he ended up getting the GED later instead. And it's not like he was like missing half of school. It's just like he'd be like routinely like 5 or 15 minutes late to class, and they took that pretty seriously. But yeah, a lot of jobs, it's like no matter what mood you're in, it's like you have to make it to work on time, or else you lose your job, and then that starts like a downward spiral from that. So I guess so for a lot of impulse buys, you have to. For me at least, it's like I just get this feeling. It's like I just can't do that. Like it's like no matter how much I want to. Now, if you have the money and you just want to like slow yourself down, then that's a lot more fun, because then you can just think like, okay, well, I'm not going to buy this now. It's like, I'll just make like a list, and then maybe I can like reevaluate it in like a week or two and see if I still really want this thing. And if you really do, well, then you maybe really want it, and you can try to budget for that. But if it's like a week or two passes, and then you realize, well, I guess I don't really want it. Seemed really cool at the time, but I guess I don't really want it now. That's the way to do it. Also, that's what sounds like the school is ableist against ADHD. Oh yeah, I remember. I remember like sprinting towards the. Yeah, they took tardiness really seriously at the high school. Yeah, I was lucky in that I was within walking distance of the high school. I was able to bicycle to middle school, remember? But I remember a friend of mine would want to park at the school, and he would want to park in our driveway because you couldn't always get parking at the high school. So my parents were fine with it. And I remember one time, like, kind of like looking out the window, and I was getting ready. I saw I still had time, and I saw him park. I saw him just zoom by, pull in immediately, just like slam the door, and then he kind of ran out. It was almost comical. He's like it was almost like a cartoon. He was like waving his arms like as he ran out towards the school from our house, because I guess he didn't realize like quite how much time he had. But I just remember seeing that panic run as I'm getting ready. What's my train of thought? Oh yeah, with budgeting. Okay, now I lost it again. I mean, I guess it's sort of fun if you can afford it, but you just want to delay it. Oh god, it's like on my tongue. You can't afford it. I lost it. Oh man. Well, it wasn't super important, but it was just like another thought I had along those lines. But yeah, it's just kind of like a raw discipline kind of thing that like I don't know. I guess I was lucky enough to learn some good habits when I was younger. Because yeah, if you have like less willpower, I, I wonder how much of the economy is devoted towards preying on that. It's probably pretty significant. So, yeah, unfortunately, I lost the other thought I had. So I'll just keep going, and it'll come back to me later. Who is your favorite protagonist from a point-and-click game? Yeah, this one was kind of hard. Because a lot of the point-and-click adventures, the characters are pretty well adjusted, or else kind of boring, and they're just kind of competent at things, and they're not particularly interesting. And I was thinking a lot of the older ones, the characters, like there's several like classic ones where the characters are kind of losers. Like I was thinking of like was it Larry Laffer and Leisure Suit Larry, or Roger Wilco? I was going to say Guybrush Threepwood, but I realized Guybrush Threepwood's a little more complicated, because I feel like they made him more of a loser as time went on. And like the original one, he's just more like a spunky kind of can-do character and won't necessarily back down. Like, again, I'm thinking in pixel face terms here, but if you look at his portrait, like in the game, you see like the two black dots, and he has like this pose like he's ready to do stuff. So he's awkward, but he's like determined. So I kind of respect that more. Whereas by the time you get to like Curse of Monkey Island, he's acting more like a loser. I remember, like with his mannerisms. So those aren't really my favorite. So I think all my answers are sort of cheat answers. So the first cheat answer I have is it's not really a point and click adventure, but in Leisure Suit Larry Magna Cum Laude, Larry Lovage, his nephew, the Larry Laver's nephew, is like, I thought he was great because it's sort of the same reason I like Joey in Arcade America. Is like he's so determined and like he is not easily discouraged, and he has like everything working against him. He's like trying to pick up girls, but he's like 4 feet tall, balding, has like a small pot belly going on. He's not letting any of that dissuade him. Like he just keeps going at it. Like it just, if he gets humiliated, he just gets right back up from it. So I really respected that. I love how hard he's trying in that game and is tenacious and everything. So I really appreciated that. Some other cheat answers are both Beavis and Butthead and Daria had graphic adventure games, and was it Virtual Stupidity and Daria's Inferno, and those are together. I think those are all pretty great characters because Daria has like the biting sarcasm against people, and Beavis and Butthead are just like hilarious. So those are both fun ones. And I guess my least cheating answer, but because she is a protagonist, but it's kind of you have triple protagonist, is in Day of the Tentacle, Laverne. I remember liking her a lot. She's pretty kooky, weird, little creepy. Like I don't know, that's my kind of character. So I remember liking her personality a lot. I remember there'd be like idling animations. I think I might be mixing her up a little bit with like Edna and Harvey, but I want to say at one point she's just like she just makes noises like randomly. I might be mixing her up, but that's totally within her character for that game. So yeah, I liked Laverne a lot. Yeah, I think those are my characters. Larry Lovage, Daria, Beavis and Butthead, and Laverne would probably be my favorite from those. There's some I still need to play though. Like I haven't played. Was it Paradigm? Is that it? It's that weird one, and I still need to play. I only played a little bit of the Edna and Harvey games. Yeah. Okay. The chat says Guybrush started off sort of underdogish, but then became a loser. Yes. Yeah, because he's not he's awkward in the first one, but he's not a loser. Like I remember, like when he's doing sword fighting, and you have the insult wars, and like he starts holding his own in that. Like he's much more of a. I feel like he's more likable in the first two. Let's see. But okay, yeah, more questions. Have you paid any respects at any of the Wojtek monuments around Poland yet? No, I actually hadn't even seen them. He's wondering if this should be mandatory for Polish citizenship. Well, I mean, I guess find out what the Polish people think. I mean, I guess they'll be kind of like if knowing about bald eagles is mandatory for U.S. citizenship or something like that. Though I will say I played several levels of Iron Harvest, and in that you have a Wojtek that you was it and will shout get them Wojtek, is like and like the bear just goes and attacks the soldiers, and that was great. I ended up stopping that game because it got really demanding performance wise. I think that's an upgrade game. I want to shelf until I eventually upgrade. So I'll play the rest of it then. Okay. Yeah, somebody's talking about how like the definitive edition of the GTA trilogy It had an authentication server. It's down for some time. The legal copies were unplayable day one. The game had to be pulled because the developer left extra files. I think that violated some copyright. And the game experienced 2 to 3 days of downtime at release. Does this make the strongest possible candidate for mounting a legal battle against games as a service? People purchase legal copies on PC were unable to access the content for days. I'd say no. However, that one could gain the most traction because it's more in people's faces. Like Diablo 3 had a lot of connection issues. I remember at the start. I mean, I didn't play it then, but I didn't play it till like years later. But I remember that there was a lot of comments on that. But it ended up being a bestseller. See, the thing is, they'll probably patch it quickly and then people will forget about it. Plus, this is the sort of thing. I mean, see, I feel like it becomes actionable when you paid money for the game and then you can never play it again. They're gonna patch that, you know. And even then, I would suspect the GTA trilogy will probably get. Maybe it already has been cracked. I don't know. In which case, like, okay, let's say they shut it down later. Well, then there's still a pirated copy floating around where you can play it still, and it wasn't subjected to that. I mean, not that the pirated copy has any legal standing, or I'm assuming it'll be a pirated copy, but or you just have a crack. You wouldn't even have to pirate it. But I feel like the best candidates are ones where the game is dead. People paid money, taken back, nobody can play it now. Because that's so obviously anti-consumer. Like, I really like to keep this stuff black and white and just not focus as much on the gray areas because that gives the naysayers ammunition. No, you paid for a perpetual license, they shut it down, they didn't say when it was gonna be, and this hasn't been tested in a court of law. So it's like, try to defend that. And it just, I feel like it always makes the other side look bad. And so this is something where if it was presented before a judge, they might be saying, well, wait a minute, you mean they can't use it at all now? And there's no refunds? And like, and they're pressing this on these, this says a perpetual license, you know? So it's like, well, yeah, it says you can cancel this at any time when your terms of service, but there's no legal standing for that. So, you know, it's, or the perpetual license, or that contradicts what the perpetual license is saying. So I'd say no. However, because that's such a big game, it could be that gets more traction. So I guess, I don't think it, I could be wrong, but I guess that wouldn't be such a good candidate because, like, let's say they kept screwing up and you still couldn't play it. Well, if you can get a refund, then I'm not seeing it making it very far in court. It's like, all right, we sold a busted product. You can't play it. You can get a refund. I mean, like, for consumer law, that doesn't really give you any traction, you know? So, yeah. And they're asking my take on the GTA remasters in general, too. Well, I've heard they had a lot of problems. There's like a collage of how many things they screwed up. That, yeah, in some cases, like the artistic original vision changed a lot. Like they have these, yeah, like they showed these gang members and like the original ones, you know, it's muddy textures, but you know, you can obviously tell that they belong to the game. And like the newer ones, it just looks like this cheap asset flip almost, and like just completely got glazed eyed expressions, and it looked like a mess. So it was more than just technical errors. Like there's some artistic stuff that's like not good. I think from what I was seeing, maybe they'll change it. However, I admit the lighting from what I saw of it looked a lot better. So it would be nice to have that to just with the original game. And I mean, I've already played those. I'd say the two things that I would want to bring them back would be VR support, which I think somebody found in hidden files they actually had some support for. So, and I don't want to be able to control the time of day. Like, let me set it to the evening and just freeze the time, or set it in real time. So an hour in the game is an hour in reality. So I could like really just walk around the cities and like take in the mood, that sort of thing, in VR. That would be an excuse for me to want to replay some of it. Maybe you can do that with the originals now. I remember it being a hassle to try to control the time of day, or just not, or not have it go by in like 20 minutes, you know. But yeah, so I liked what they were doing with the lighting, but some of the artistic, or creative, I'm losing my words here. Creative changes weren't very good. Maybe I'll make a note. Maybe I can post the collage I saw of it. They're hilarious. Let's see. Yeah, well, I guess before I move on, like, I bet the audience is probably more. Okay, pick a number. What percentage of remasters are just hands down, this is a great remaster? Like, maybe there's like one or two things that are like a little off, but no, it's just a great remaster. How often does that happen versus ones that are either like a clear side grade, where some things are better, some things are worse, or what? The or they're worse. They're just like objectively worse in a lot of ways. Like or subjectively worse. Like, yeah, like I was looking at a comparison video a couple weeks ago of Assassin's Creed 3 remaster versus the original. And it's like, yes, you can tell they're using higher definition textures, but then they added that muddy brown filter over everything. And it's like, God, that looks awful. Or if people were complaining about how like the water effects in the original were better. And or like I keep bringing up like the Fable Anniversary Edition. Yeah, let's slap a giant brown filter over everything, like for this colorful fairy tale game, you know? Okay, we have one person saying 15%, another saying 40% for ones where they do it right. Okay, Resident Evil 1 is the ideal remake, remaster. Yeah, like I heard like the Resident Evil 2 is really good remaster. That one's almost like a reimagining, but that counts. That counts, you know. The thing is, I would even accept, like again, I played a good chunk of, was it Dead Rising? And from what I could tell, it was just a pure port. So that's not really it's like a remaster in the sense that you can have like higher resolution and maybe higher frame rate, and maybe they increased some textures, I don't know. But they didn't change much at all. And it's like, I would call that a successful re-release. Because it's like, well, we didn't screw it up. It's at least as good as the original. We didn't improve much, but that's fine, you know? Especially when you're bringing it over to PC or a platform that didn't have the original, because for that player base, it may as well be like a new game, you know? Okay. It looks like there's the debate on Halo 1 or whether the remaster's better. People are saying the Age of Empires 2 is good. But yeah, I want to say I've heard of so many where like the remaster remake is. Oh yeah, that was another one that I felt like this was like a solid side grade. I haven't played either. A solid side grade. Where was it? Sleeping Dogs, where I saw a comparison video. And it's like, well, there's some things that are better about the newer one, but it's like, I don't know, the mood kind of feels better on the original with this lighting, and like if it's like it depended on the scene you were looking at, which one is better. And it was like 50-50 almost. I think was it Kingdoms of Amalur? looked like that too. It's like, well, in this scene, this one looks better, and this scene, the other one looks better. So I don't know. Okay, people are saying Shadow of Colossus is a good remaster, or okay, they're saying Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 is excellent. Okay. I don't know. I think we're looking at least 50% for like bad remakes, and it might be higher than that. Or bad or questionable. Like, where you can't just slam dunk say it's better, you know? Okay, Quake remasters. Yeah, well that's fair. I'm sure you can find a remaster of Quake 1 and 2 that fits your needs, because because so many of them are fan based that you can kind of get almost anything you want. Like if you want something that's just pure but like wider, like widescreen and better support, that you can, or better HUD scaling or something like that, you can get that, or you can get like the ray tracing, or you can get redone models or higher textures, that sort of thing. So. Yeah, okay, we got another vote for like 25 to 30% for good ones, I think. So yeah, I don't know. I'm surprised because you'd think it would be unless you're like really redoing everything, you think it'd be pretty easy. Like, okay, fine, let's just take the original textures, make them higher resolution. Maybe we'll fix up the lighting a little bit because we can have better shadows or something. And like, yeah, just keep everything else the same. Maybe if there's a busted mechanic in the original, we can fix that. But it can be an easy job, but apparently it's not. Okay, more questions. Oh, someone's asking about the Pigeon Hunter video. Yeah, that was for a project I did for school where they wanted us to make like a fake advertisement, for an advertisement for a fake show. And I was in Pittsburgh at the time. There were a couple friends I had. And so I came up with the idea of just having this kind of try to make like a real classy, make it seem like a real classy show, like it's Masterpiece Theater or something, except that it's just we're having some rednecks hunting pigeons in the city. And the pigeon death was real, but it was totally accidental and wasn't even staged or anything. Where I just wanted them to just run at the pigeons, just real goofy. And the what and like in between shots, I wanted to like reposition the camera or like wait for the pigeons to land again, then get them from a different angle, that sort of thing. In between shots, the big guy, I forget his name, it might have been Dusty. He was just kind of like meandering around and he just accidentally stepped on one and killed it. Like it wasn't like we wanted them to pretend to catch it and he got a little too close. This wasn't even in the script or anything. It's just in between shots, he stepped on one and killed it. So it's like, well, damn it, I wasn't trying to kill it, but since it was dead, I decided, fine, we'll have the end shot. And you can see the other guy, he was kind of a little uncomfortable with that on his face. But I figured, you know what? It's already dead. We might as well use it. So that was my attitude on it. So there was absolutely no intentional animal cruelty with that, but he just wasn't. We had some really stupid pigeons, and the big guy wasn't paying attention to where he was walking in between shots. So I was fiddling with the camera, and then they're like, "Whoops!" So, I remember. I think there's a meme where like there's this pigeon in the middle of a road and you see this bus just drive right next to it, and like the pigeon is just kind of like not really reacting at all. So I think it was like that. So yeah, I'll try to get to chat questions in a little bit. Let me get through some more submitted ones. Yeah, this one's kind of broad and it didn't have that many votes. What movies or video games do you think had the biggest lasting impact on how you think about things in general? Yeah, I don't know. I feel like not too many things like really like just blow my mind and change my perception on everything. It's just sort of like little things from lots of different places sort of seep in. Because I'm thinking like one of my all-time favorite movies is the Dawn of the Dead remake, and that didn't really change my life. It just like I saw that I was like, wow, what a great movie. And that's kind of as far as it went. So it didn't really change my life or its perspective on things, but that left such a big impact on me. Like, cause I was like, yeah, what a great movie. Like, this is so, but like little things from all over the place kind of creep in. So I'll mention them. That's probably why I'm always mentioning movies or clips and stuff in Game Dungeon. I don't plan that. It just happens as I'm thinking about what's happening, and then I'll make some association to something I've seen before. So, yeah, let's see. Oh yeah, this is a good question. Can you imagine any tattoos you kind of wish you could have? Yeah, I've always sort of been like on the fence about tattoos. It's like, yeah, I might be interested in it, but I didn't have like a burning desire to have one, and they can be expensive. So just so that kind of like permanently put it on the back burner. But if I was gonna get one, yeah, I had some ideas for it. I would probably get something like along my back that would just be kind of like kind of geometric shapes or like have kind of an alien look to it. And like sometimes over the years, I would sometimes, if I saw a design that I thought looked really cool, I would save it. Actually, I might even have that on my, I for sure I still have it, but I don't remember exactly where it is. But I think the one that kicked all this off was I love oh, yep, I do have it. Uh, I love the look of the vampire glyphs from Blade. Those look awesome. And if you haven't seen that, they don't look like what you would expect from like a vampire spooky look. They almost look like a sophisticated alien. They look like what you might expect of a language for like a sophisticated alien society. Or I want to say there's like a few similarities to like how Korean looks a little bit, but it has like this really elegant, kind of clean feel to it, lots of geometric shapes in it. And I love the way that looked. So I might get something like that down my back, but let's see. Let me go to thumbnail view here. Some other, I've taken some designs from, what game is this? Yes, this is a HUD to some sort of game. This might have been to the original Prey, but maybe not. I don't know if I can just drag, I can't just drag an image to the chat, can I? Well, I've taken some from, show us the HUD. Okay, well, is there an easy way to do, oh, okay, wait, yeah, I can maybe screen, okay, we'll risk trying to screen share things, maybe, okay. Hold on. I want to make sure I don't have like spoilers for like the next okay, for the Christmas episode, which, okay, yeah, okay, I'll try to switch over to the, oh wait, no, maybe I can switch over to the, yeah, I can do that. I'll open up a image editor and then screen share that if I can. All right, let's try this. Hope I don't screw everything up. Okay, well, wait, oh no, wait, how do I do this on OBS? I can't, like, I can disable, okay, window capture, there we go. Okay. And I want to capture the, oh wait, no, am I already using that? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I almost disabled the chat. Okay. Hold on. Window capture. Another one. Capture 2. And then I want, yes, Earth view. All right. Yes, I think this is from like a website or a mod. Okay. Do that. Okay, yeah, I think that's showing up maybe. 7 Deadly Sims. I like those little icons they had. Maybe I can, hold on, resize crap here. Okay, yeah. Here, let me try and zoom in. Oh, wait, is that the right? Oh, I opened 2 copy. Okay, good. Nope. Damn it. Okay. How do I zoom? Yeah, there we go. Zoom in. Okay, so yeah, I like those kind of symbols that they had going on there. That's something from some random HUD. Yeah, sorry, these are kind of small. I don't know how to resize it easily on OBS. Yeah, oh yeah, that's from Bill and Ted. Okay, yeah, that was from like, yeah, that might have been like the alien glyphs there. Let's see, can I resize it? Yes, I can. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so there's one from Bill and Ted. I don't know what this is from. I saved it. But I like the looks of it, stuff like that. Yeah, here's like the HUD elements. Maybe somebody recognizes this HUD. But yeah, there were interesting designs here. But yeah, you can kind of, what's that? Okay, yeah, does somebody recognize that HUD? Let's see. Yeah, somebody says it's the map from heaven, a bogus journey. So I don't know what that one is. Yeah, so here, oh yeah, this one's from a puzzle game. Oh, yeah, Riven. Okay, that one's from Riven. Yeah, you can kind of see where my brain's going with this, like a lot of geometric shapes and angles and stuff. Oh yeah, that's from, those are the vampire glyphs. That one's from Blade Trinity, not the. Oh, I think, yeah, but they had the earlier ones which were even more geometric. I don't know what that's from. Yeah, I've just sort of saved these over the years and haven't checked the source. Let's see. There. Can I open this with? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Here's the OG vampire glyphs. Let's see if I can get the right one here. Orphan view. There we go. Okay. Yeah. I've got some of the music in my head already now. Yeah, stuff like that. These are the OG vampire glyphs. So I was kind of experimenting with stuff like that. So if I was gonna get a tattoo, it would be something in those veins, kind of like down my back, probably. Okay, well, you can get an idea where my head would be at for tattoos. I would want to get something that's like that's semi-timeless. It's just kind of an art thing. Not really deeper meaning to it or anything. Yeah, not like the Sonic the Hedgehog neck tattoo. Probably wouldn't get that. Yeah, when I did that episode, I was just wondering if I could find like a Sonic the Hedgehog neck tattoo, because like let's try to let's see who's the most hardcore Sonic fan we can find. Like, yep, there's one. So I showed that in the video. But yeah, I don't know, something about that really appealed to me, the way it looked. It has an interesting pattern to it. Okay, let's see. Yeah, more questions. All right. And somebody said it'd be helpful to have left and right tattooed on their hands because they mix it up. Oh yeah, I think this one is a bit of a misunderstanding. You're saying in a previous video chat that would take a whole video to explain your problem with National Donut Day, so please elaborate. No, it wouldn't. It would. My issue is that it's, I'm a sweets addict, so it's probably like what St. Patrick's Day is for alcoholics. It's like it's rough if you're trying to walk the path. No, the whole video would just be more about sugar addiction in general. I could probably make a funny one in that. Oh yeah, this is a good one. What do you think about Linus Tech Tips bringing more attention to Linux? Will this improve Linux in any way that you care about? I tend to be kind of pessimistic about that. Although here I have an announcement. One of the side videos I'm doing is definitely related to Linux, but it's like a third devoted to Linux. However, I realized I'm gonna have more thoughts on this. I thought, you know what? I'm gonna have so many thoughts on this. I'm just gonna make another video where I'm just gonna talk all about Linux. It's gonna be relatively low key, not have like super production value, but I'll try to just give like all my thoughts on like different aspects of it, like how I view it, how I think it might pertain towards advanced or novice users, like the future, the relationship between it and Windows, that sort of thing. So if there's like subtopics you want me to cover in that I could do that then. That's probably a couple months out though, because the other video is gonna take longer to get going. But yeah, the video I have planned is actually, for those that don't know, Linus Tech Tips, he's doing this Linux Daily Driver Challenge where he's trying to use nothing but Linux for his home computer for a month. And it's documenting that. The first episode is awesome. Like, I thought I was just gonna watch a few minutes. I ended up being glued to it. It was very well put together. And it highlights some very characteristic aspects of Linux for new users. Yeah, I lost my train of thought again. So yeah, oh yeah, the big video I have planned, it's going to complement Linus's video very well, because I'm not doing the same thing he is at all. It's coming at Linux from a totally different angle and approach and goals and everything. So I think Linus has taken the perspective where he's not using help. I will be using help. I'll be taking all the expert help I can use I'm trying to see how far I can go with it for a specific area. And but Linus is taking it as though he's like an average user, so he's only using like forum help and not using his status as a YouTuber to get like expert stuff, and you're kind of documenting his experience. I do have tell you what, I want to say most of my thoughts for when I do that Linux video, but I'll comment on a couple of things now. This is a bit of a spoiler for episode 1, so if you don't want to spoil it, you can mute me for like a minute or something. Okay, I want to say this because I haven't seen this opinion expressed, and I'm gonna come down, I guess, hard on Linux for this particular spot. In it, the short version is he tries to install Steam on Pop! OS and ends up deleting his desktop environment. And I've heard everything I've seen is saying, well, it's mostly on Linux, but no, Linus was sort of at fault too. No, I'm putting the blame on Linux in 3 separate instances, okay? My opinion on this. Instance 1, he tried to install Steam, it didn't work, it threw an error at him. And this is advertised as a gaming OS. So this is pretty damn typical of what you would expect of a new user. And it can't do that right. So that makes it feel like an alpha product in my eyes. So that's the first failure. The second failure is he troubleshooted it and saw that to get around it, he has to install it through the console. Do like the apt-get. Okay. He does that, and then that doesn't work. So he's tried it twice now, and it still doesn't work. And the third part that everybody blames him for is that there's a message saying, oh, this is going to delete like these modules of your desktop environment. I'd say that's not a Linus for an average user because, okay, from my perspective, like this is a fresh OS, you know, if I sometimes use software where if I trust the source, I let it do whatever it wants because maybe it needs to go really deep on files. Like I'm thinking of like some deep stuff like for Stardock, if I want to change the look of Windows, so I might have to modify GUI files. I'm going to give it just permission to do whatever it wants. For VorpX, you know, if it needs to install some packages or something, I trust that software. I wouldn't do that for like Bob's Lotto Numbers.exe or something that I'm not so sure about this company or something, but I'm trying to think of some other examples where they get kind of deep on things. Well, like stereoscopic stuff where they need to do driver things, or for my wife, a program she uses called for auto hotkey for me might be something because this is a very well-known piece of software that I trust it's not doing anything malicious. Or my wife uses a program called Cold Turkey, which will shut the computer off at a certain point, or you can set timers. Well, that's something that needs kind of low-level access to the OS to kind of prevent you from cheating on it. So it stated its purpose. It looks relatively professionally put together. So my assumption would be that, okay, I have to install Steam. It's not working, and it wants to do all these things, and it needs a confirmation from me because what the hell do I know? Maybe Steam interacts with the desktop in a different way, and all you did was type install Steam, and it's coming up with this prompt for you. Well, coming as a Windows user, I would assume from Steam. I'm assuming Steam is not going to do malicious things to my system, but maybe it needs to get kind of deep in there, and this is like related to notifications popping up. So it needs to like replace some desktop modules. What do I know? So yeah, I'm going to give it permission. And so yeah, I mean, I guess I'm going to be the minority report on that, saying no. If you're advertising this as like for new users or for gamers, and not like for advanced or intermediate Linux users, then no, this is a three-way failure in my eyes on Linux that he ran into. So yeah, you can see that it's deleting these modules, but it's like, well, if you don't know much about like the XDeck desktop, it's like, yeah, I can see it's deleting them, but I think, well, maybe that's what the software needs to do because it's a trusted source. Now, if we did that for just some random utility never heard of, yeah, okay, then I would say that's on him because you should know better than install shady software. Steam is as mainstream as it gets for gaming. So, yeah, well, you're saying I'm in the majority. Every comment I saw, well, this is some on Linux, some on Linus. No. I mean, maybe Linus himself should have known better personally, but I could see myself doing that if I'm just kind of blindly trusting software I have reason to trust. You know, some software I absolutely do not trust. But I mean, I brought up a few, like AutoHotkey is an example of one. Yeah, I trust it because that's well known. It can do, actually, I don't even think it has to be that invasive, but maybe it does because AutoHotkey is like really powerful software you can use to do all kinds of functions. So if it needs to interface, if it needed to install a service or something, I might assume that, okay, that's legit. Or Acronis, I use that for backups. And that has its own custom services, and it might want you to like reboot after installing it. But it's designed to be able to like copy an entire disk image of like your whole OS or whatever drive you want. So that's to get kind of deep. So yeah, I'm gonna give it permission to do, I mean, it's a major name for backup software. So I figured, yeah, this is probably relatively safe. So yeah, I'm gonna blame. Yeah, I said a minute. I've probably gone on like 5. I think it doesn't make Linux look good in that sense. There's all sorts of stuff I want to get into because it's not. When I make that video, it's not going to be like Linux bashing. It's going to be way more nuanced than that. I'm going to like go down like topic by topic and like explain the perspective you're coming from for different users, that sort of thing. It's there's a lot of, again, I had a lot of thoughts on Linux, so it's I just wanted to comment on that particular instance. That if there's one thing I would kind of blame the Linux community in general, is that I think they can have a tendency to oversell it for what it's capable of, or ease of use, that sort of thing, because it's frequently a mixed bag, you know. Like actually, I saw a reaction video later where a guy was saying, these are from like hardcore Linux users, that it's a pet peeve of theirs saying that you can install Linux on anything and you're like good to go. And he's saying like, no, some hardware, you're gonna have a really hard time and you probably shouldn't try to do desktop Linux on it. So that might be a myth to kind of dispel, that, yeah, sure, maybe you can run Linux on anything, but you maybe shouldn't for a lot of different hardware. So, but yeah, yeah, if there's stuff you'd really like me to talk about when I get to that, you can let me know. But I realize this is going to just spill over into its own video, and it's probably just going to be me talking to the camera for the most part, or not to the camera, probably just do a voiceover. Maybe I'll have a Linux game going while I'm talking about it. They're not overselling Linux. People are just prone to judging other people by their own yardstick. Well, it's what do you mean by that? If you can say you can run all your games on Linux, that's overselling it, I think. Or you never have to use the command line, not knowing anything about the user's workload. If you're talking about web browsing, yeah, you probably don't have to use the command line, or just listening to stuff. But I've seen overselling of Linux. I mean, that's why I said that this is not going to be like Linux bashing or praising. It's going to be way more nuanced than that. And like, I'm just going to like approach like all these different topics I've had thoughts on. So I think it'll be relatively fair when I talk about it. Unfortunately, Linux seems overselling to a degree to bring in some more popularity. Well, it's more complicated than that. See, I think you need to sell it on the strengths and really nail those down. So if there's a distro that's like just 100% solid for stuff, well, then you push that. Not being able to install Steam on a gaming distro, yeah, that's not, that suggests poor quality control, So like maybe you can push like the like the long-term builds and then list the stuff it is great for, for like this type of media using this type of software. Well, okay, I'll get into that when I do the video, but yeah, okay. But yeah, I guess the other thing, okay, he's asking do I think this will improve Linux in any way I care about? I mean, maybe a little bit, but see, that kind of shows like a mentality where, why is this happening for a major distro that purports itself for gaming, if I use the right word there, in 2021? Like, we're having, like, maybe if Steam had an update that broke things, but I mean, I don't think that's what happened. I think there was like an error on there. Yeah, I really don't think that's what happened, because, okay, let's say Steam had an update that broke compatibility on Linux. Why would that prompt you to delete the desktop environment? I don't think it would. So that suggests there's like there's kind of quality control issue. Like, to me, if that slipped by, you need to like say that this is like a more experimental distro, and you really need to kind of like separate the two. Like maybe Ubuntu or Mint is like way more stable. Although even the guy on Mint, he had multiple monitor. Okay, maybe that part's fair. I'm not sure. He had multiple monitors, and he was having like a real obvious bug with the window. However, he was on a live environment, so maybe if he did the actual install, that problem wouldn't have been there. Then fine, you need to say that live environments. You need to be upfront with this stuff. Like say the live environments may have more errors than a standalone install. You know. Yeah, see, that's the other. Somebody's saying there was a failsafe. He decided to override it. Yeah, yeah, and why did he decide to override it? That's the question everybody dodged. Nobody brought that up in the comments that I saw. He decided to override it because he wanted to install Steam, because he wanted to play games. So he tried to do it the legit way. That did not work. So he did the next step that everybody said to do. And that's what led him to overriding it. See, you can blame him, but then he's there stuck in the water with no steam. So I thought that was, yeah, because he trusted that. Yes, he did. So I guess you need to like label what's more experimental and what's like a more polished experience, and even then lay like what areas is it more polished. That's what I mean by overselling. It needs a little more quality control, I think, or so you know what you're getting into. I think because you're not going to get the Linux desktop share if you're overpromising. I think from a psychology perspective. Linux in general assumes the person using it knows what they're doing. If they expect what they're expected to know what to do, that makes it less accessible. It's more or less the philosophy. Well, why not have a distro where it doesn't assume that? And then you point all the new people to that distro. You see what I'm saying? Ross, it was a bug. Nobody is safe from that. Well, yeah, remember that Windows updates deleted your... Yeah, like I blame Windows for that also. I'll bring that up. Like ever since they fired their quality control department, their QA quality assurance department, yeah, it's been a mess. Why the hell do you think I locked down Windows updates? I mean, it is ridiculous. But that's the thing. That's why you have quality control and testing and long-term build releases. That's a bug that should have been caught. I mean... If it wasn't this weird esoteric one. So, yeah, I mean, okay, am I going crazy? Is like testing your software for a long time, is that like a taboo concept now in the world of programming? I mean, I realize a lot of companies move on like that, but I'm a big fan of like, yeah, like we have our really stable release that we've tested for like months, and we release that and we have a lot of faith behind it. You know, I mean, yeah, they're bugs, but then there's some bugs you shouldn't have if you're really testing things. You know, there can always be like weird stuff, but yeah, no, I think Windows 10 is a perpetual beta, probably 11, yeah, 11 too. So it's a lot cheaper to have your audience be your testers. Well, then you gotta tell people it's beta or alpha. I mean, if you do that, then you're fine. Then people know. Then the people who want something stable aren't going to touch the one that's more bug prone, you know? So I'm saying it's a generation change. That's something to do with changing mindset. Yeah, like I was talking with a friend of mine. He was saying that when I was saying that I feel like a lot of AAA games I basically view them as just like late betas now. Like I just assume they haven't been tested properly. And my friend said, that's generally true except for Nintendo. Because apparently Nintendo has like the old school, like Japanese save face mentality that no, we're shipping a 1.0 product. It better be polished. I mean, I'm sure there's exceptions, but apparently they still do that. Well, Daniel might know. He's done testing for them, I think. I don't know if I was supposed to say that or not. But well, I said I think. so you still have plausible deniability. But yeah, I mean, in the old days, you had to do your best shot because you couldn't patch it, you know. So big productions got a lot of testing, and they were generally pretty nailed down for bugs. Okay, yeah, I should. Saying nope, Nintendo has missing content at launch in some of their games. Well, missing content's not the same thing. I'm talking like day one. Day zero, day one patch because it wasn't ready yet. That's what I mean. Missing content, that can be like a marketing decision where it's like, you know, we're going to have like a longer term content later, that sort of thing. Most software is in perpetual beta, I think. Yeah, that could be true. Okay, so Daniel can acknowledge that he tested for Nintendo, but he can't give any details. Like, yeah, that's true. Maybe I can't ask him his opinion publicly. That might I don't want to threaten his job there. Yeah, that might be true, but it wasn't always that way. I'm still kind of old school in my thinking on it. It was a bug. No one's denying that, but he also had received a warning. So it's like he did it on air, but he could have read an answer song before doing anything potentially destructive. I just explained it. If I have a piece of software that I trust the source of, and it wants to make, and I get warning that, oh, I have stuff like this right now. I think VorpX does this. Warning, this driver is unsigned. Are you sure you want to install this? Or like add a service or something that is uncertified. Well, I trust the VorpX service, or the driver. So I'm going to hit yes. So my assumption by seeing that would be like, okay, it wants to delete this. I guess this is a necessary step in order to install Steam. I mean, then you should also trust the warning. Well, I would if it was from a source I didn't. Some software you need to get really deep. Hey, okay, question. If you install drivers on a Linux, under any sort of drivers on Linux, do you ever get a warning in any scenario? Let's ask that question for Linux things. We'll settle that. Is there any scenario where you're installing drivers on Linux, like let's say like CPU, USB bus stuff, or something real deep? Never get a warning from Linux. You don't install drivers on Linux. Of course you can install drivers. You don't install drivers on Linux? Okay, well, you're just being silly now. Okay, somebody's saying not real. Okay, so you never get warnings on drivers. I'm saying on Windows, it's not unheard of to install very deep software that needs really deep access and have it replace things and give a warning that you have to override. So my assumption, coming as someone not overly versed in Linux, is that if I'm installing Steam and it's saying it needs to delete these files, I'm assuming, okay, I guess that means it's an incompatibility with how Steam operates and Steam has its substitute. Because all I'm frigging doing is installing Steam. So it's like, I mean, I think it's a fair assumption. Now, if the context was different, I would agree with you. So if I was installing, let's say, What's something that's like a little fish? Let's say a mod for a game, and then it says that. I'd be like, whoa, what the hell is this? Then yes. If I was installing some random game mod and I got warnings like that, you bet I would stop. But Steam, no, I think it's, so anyway, that's my opinion. Obviously it's a subjective thing, but I just wanted to voice that because I saw that nowhere in the comments. They were like, oh, well, Linus should have known better for, okay, he should have done that. And then he's still stuck in the water with no steam. You know, it's after 2 different attempts to do it the right way. I mean, so it's like, so like the message is like, you shouldn't have used Linux is like the takeaway. Okay, for someone making such a big fuss about the GUI and you don't care how hard it is to learn, you're a bit of a hypocrite by stating that you don't want to do the minimal effort to learn how to use Linux distro, especially. Oh, no. You're conflating things. I would go in like knowing, okay, this is going to be more of a challenge. I'm saying, is this fit for the average user? Hell no, not from that experience. And I would blame Linux for all 3 cases of that. No, I mean, I'm holding myself to a different standard than an average user. So yeah, I mean, it's, I mean, and I would still say this is like terrible design. Yeah, I mean, if I did that and it's screwed up, I'd be annoyed, but okay, let's say if I was in Linus's shoes and I did that and I accidentally uninstalled it, I would be annoyed, but I would realize my guard wasn't up, it caught me slipping, you know, like, and because I know that Linux is out for blood sometimes. The average user might not have been given that impression, especially if people are overselling it. Would you let your mom use Linux? Yeah, if I set it up. Because she wouldn't be doing anything too invasive. She wouldn't be doing anything off the beaten path. Let's see. Okay, I should keep moving on. This could go on a while. Again, I'll cover the nuance of all this. I just want to cover like Linus's one more. Linus's situation was kind of unique there. I think most of you will think I'm being fair when I make the Linux video. So. Okay. Yeah, that might have eaten up some time for more questions. Oh yeah, so have you considered making a Ross Explores-like series where you take your viewers on short adventures through potentially amazing virtual worlds? And I say I'd love to hear more about that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Well, there's 2 things. One, I don't know how well that would translate to like flat video. I mean, I could maybe do a blurb on it, but I think it might not be as interesting for most people, unless it's something that, like if I was doing a game dungeon on it, I would mention that as part of it. And did I already forget the other thing? Let's see. I guess I did. I guess I guess like the 2D video might not really convey it in the right way, and the other is that even I'm not sure how interesting it would be, but no, that was the other thing. I don't want to bite off more than I can chew because I'm already doing that. I'm trying to kind of save the videos right now. Like I'm doing Game Dungeon, Freeman's Mind, and then I have these other side videos, and then I got to get back to the movie. So I kind of want to keep things more like the top shelf material, and I'm not sure this one would be as interesting for people. I mean, but I mean, it is interesting. I finally made it to got Porsche Unleashed working in VR. I couldn't do it with geometry rendering where you have two separate cameras. I had to use the Z buffer method, which isn't as good, but I'm still getting a taste of the dream there. Although I'm noticing in VR, the camera work is pretty stuttery for when you're actually in VR zoomed in. Like, it's not as smooth as it could be, so that part's kind of rough. But it is very neat being able to finally see that again. I haven't seen that in like 20 years. So, unfortunately, God, that is such a pet peeve of mine, is when technology and software from like 20 years ago or more can do things that are impossible on modern technology. 20 years ago, I was able to have that with full stereoscopic rendering inside the game, where it's rendering at a different angle for each eye. The Z buffer method is sort of a cheat for that, where it has the geometry, but it just wraps the texture around that. So it's not as good. However, it being in VR is, I think, almost an objectively better experience than the shutter glasses on a CRT monitor. So, but God, I hate that when like technology of old can do things modern technology can't. It just bugs the hell out of me. Let's see. But yeah, it's pretty amazing. Well, the camera work's not so bad in third-person view, but then the immersion isn't quite as good as like from the bumper cam. And the bumper cam, man, if you steer in that, it can just, it's not lag, it's just like the cam, or it's not lag or low frame rate, it's just the camera was never that smooth, and I just never really noticed it that much. But you really notice it in VR. But yeah, I plan to keep going through the list. I mean, maybe I can work that into another video later, but okay, I'm gonna start skipping some more questions. Oh yeah, somebody's asking about the Steam Deck. I'm afraid I'm not the right person for that. I'm not that interested in most mobile hardware. So again, I hope it does help with Linux game compatibility. So that's the main takeaway I have from it, that I hope it helps with things. What? Oh yeah, the other thing I found it kind of interesting that they're going with like a 16:10 ratio for the screen. I guess that might make more sense for a handheld where you maybe don't want things as wide. Actually, my old monitors are 16:10, but that wasn't really by choice. I was just getting the first available IPS monitor that was good enough for gaming. This is before things like G-Sync existed, or high refresh rate monitors that weren't TN panels, that sort of thing. And all that they had at the time was 16:10. I definitely like wider. In fact, I'm okay. Now this part you can claim me of being a hypocrite on. When I did the Darkwood stream, I might be warming up more and more to ultra wide. I don't know. Like I might be going over to the dark side on that. If I do though, it won't affect the videos. I'm gonna keep them 16:10. I mean 16:9. Or 4:3 when there's just nothing in the game to make it 16:9, like the Halloween series, pretty much. There was just nothing in those games to make it 16:9. So I figure what the hell, 4:3. The Christmas episode will be 16:9. So yeah, well, some people prefer 16:10. My wife uses one. I think she might maybe finds it like a little more overwhelming with the wideness, which I thought was going to be the case for me initially with widescreen. I mean, ultra wide. No, widescreen I was always on board with. But I realized I did an experiment where I took my monitor and I took the other monitor and I put it in a portrait mode, and then I put a desktop across that. and then like resized the resolution so it was about the same. But even then, I couldn't run games on it. So what I did was I downloaded some gameplay footage of ultra-wide video and span that in a video player across the two monitors to try to simulate the feel. And what I found was I wasn't getting as overwhelmed as much as I thought when the screen was smaller, because there was still because the stuff was going off in my periphery. And so my focus was just on the center. So it wasn't overwhelming me, even for stuff I thought was gonna screw me up. Like I downloaded footage from Mirror's Edge Catalyst, because I figure, yeah, if a game's gonna mess me up, that'll probably do it. And it wasn't that bad watching the footage. Or, yeah, I tested like Path of Exile footage, which just felt off to me before. It wasn't that bad, but yeah, feel free to chime in on ultra wide, or you can email me. Like I'm thinking of going over to the dark side on it. So it's like it's you know what I think. You know what my thoughts are. I feel, for me personally, I feel like 16:9 is like slightly less wide than would be like ideal, and the 21:9 feels a little too wide. But I feel like two to one would be probably like perfect, but maybe I just don't notice it in the peripheral vision. It's just nice. I don't know. I was kind of worried it would be like overwhelming, but I think 32:9 is still too big for me. That would just be bananas. So ultra wide is a nightmare with older games. Well, maybe, but I have a lot of experience converting 4:3 games to 16:9 as it is. So I figure maybe it's probably not that much worse than just like getting 4:3 stuff working already. I was also having this thought that like if I wanted to get like, I think they probably wouldn't bother me, but like let's say the black bars, because like black bars on the side of like 4:3 content doesn't really bother me on a 16:9 monitor. But let's say it did on an ultra wide. I was even having this idea of like rigging like this little like pulley slider or something with like little curtains. So it's like, oh, okay, this game only runs on 16:9 or 4:3. I could like just go and like slide it to like the like kind of like little mini theater curtains and slide it to the rate. Apparently nobody else has done this online that I could find. So maybe the black screen doesn't bother them either, but then you could just adapt to whatever you wanted, and like that would be kind of cool. Oh, nothing is worse than a game cutting off the tops and bottom of the image. Oh yeah, yeah. I wouldn't do that. I would take 4:3 over, was it vertical cropping? Yeah, you're right. You're right. That sucks. I wouldn't do that. I would just do, if I couldn't change it, I would just make it 4:3. Well, like I did in the, was it the ski game episode, Ski-Doo or something, where it, what? Oh, okay, I think people are having different conversations there. What was he? Yeah, where just take the loss rather than have it zoom in with the FOV. But a lot of old 3D games, I'm already making them 16:9. I don't think 21:9 would be that much harder. So if they never supported them natively in the first place. Yeah, you have to. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. I'm not really that much of a competitive gamer. I mean, so I'm not. I will take immersion any day, almost over gameplay competitiveness edge. So, I'm not trying to be like a future esports star where we're like that. Somebody's talking about like how the FOV can affect things in CS:GO. So. Okay, unless they are popular old games, some modders implemented ultra wide. It's gonna be a mess to run it. They have 21:9. Well, how many times have I run into that already? You know, I mean, yeah, like Requital, I couldn't do it. I really tried to make that 16:9. Hey, another bit of a hint. Not the Christmas episode, but the one I'm hoping will be next, but probably won't be next, the Apocalypse episode. That's one that was designed for 4:3. The episode's going to be in 16:9. I got it working for that. So, okay, yeah, I should keep moving on with the questions. Yeah, that's nothing to do with. I don't really care much about mobile gaming. If there's a good game on a mobile device, if I might be interested in running that on my computer, but that's about the extent of it for me. So I hope people with Steam Decks enjoy it, you know. So I think I saw a headline on a Louis Rossman video where the thumbnail was implying that like the power source could kill you or something if you opened it up. That might have just been like a clickbait thing. I don't know. I didn't watch the video of it. Somebody's asking about my process for Game Dungeon. It's pretty open-ended. Oh yeah, shoot, I forgot to put a link and everything. I need to put it on Twitter and website. I was on a podcast where these guys kind of interview me and just chat with me about stuff. Most of it's kind of a recap of the games as a service thing, but I'll link to that. I'll put that on this video. They sent it to me days ago. And I just completely forgot to put it up. Okay, I'm skipping some more questions. Did you always have a way of speaking, or do you put on a voice when you turn on the camera? Have you thought of doing voice acting? Since I have the option, I'd rather do like stuff more like directing, or make more videos on voice acting. I'd rather let the people who really want all the attention do the voice act and are good at it, maybe better than I am, do the voice acting when I can. I just do so much of it because it's like it was the path of least resistance for so long. For my normal voice, I mean, maybe it changes some for like Freeman's Mind or a little bit for Game That. It's exactly how it is for the video chat. So like if you were to ask somebody, so this is my normal voice for the video chats. So if it's a little different, obviously it's different for civil protection. I do a different voice for that, but for the, yes. Okay, more questions. Black Friday just wrapped up. Are you a big deal hunter kind of guy? In other words, you spent a ton of money on Steam sales. Well, yeah, I pretty much only buy games when there are like big sales going on. And this year, I decided, you know what? I have so many games already. It's like, geez, should I even really be getting more? Because I have so many to get through. So I decided, okay, what I'm going to do this year is I'm just going to go for like the big sales, like just stuff that's just so much off that like it's like almost a no-brainer to get it. And I even had to cut off. I used my little on the games list on the website. I even used the little sliders. So I thought, you know, any game for like the past 3 years, it's not cheap enough yet. But we'll set. So I set the limit to like 2012 to 2018, and just started searching through there. And okay, I think the grand total off of Steam, just using that metric, only like just so much off, and like the real cheap ones, using that metric, and it was like all stuff on the games list that I have on the website, and that I didn't have already. I spent about $50. I got 22 games. So it's like, good God, stuff gets so cheap. I think my average was like $1. No, I think my average was like $2.20 or something like that. Or well, you can do the math from what I did. So yeah, I went cheap on that, and I still got a lot. But the thing is, I haven't been buying games for pretty much months prior, unless it was like really on sale. So I'm just going really cheap, and maybe once I finally catch up on a bunch of abandonware, then I'll start buying more games again. But like, it's just so cheap now. when you do them on sales. And then if they're not winners, then you don't really feel like you wasted too much. So what did you get? Okay, I can tell you real quick. I have an email that has like my receipts of everything. Cave Blazers is one of them. I played it. I'm on the fence if I want to do more of. Wait, whoops. I'm on the fence if I want to do more Cave Blazers or not, because it's kind of roguelike platformer where it looks like if you're careful, you can make it. It's the rogue type I approve of so far, where if you're really good, it looks like you can go all the way. So far. So it comes down to your skill. However, I kind of want to know how many levels I'm up against. If it's like 50, I'm not going to make it. Like but if it's like 10, I might try and go for it. So I made it to like level 2 or 3. Okay, Steam. Okay, so what's my list here? Oh, come on, where is it? I remember another game I got was Lethis something, although there's 2 Lethis games. I think I got the RPG one. Well, I'm trying to remember what else I got. Okay, is this the email? Come on. Oh, yeah, there it is. Yeah. Okay, I got Riptide GP2, Riptide GP Renegade, Out There Somewhere, Near Death, Ember, Corpse of Discovery, Space Plan, Distant Star Revenant Fleet, Streets of Fury EX, Until I Have You, Left Alone, Westboro, Ride, Nightside, Aquamoto Racing Utopia. That one looked like a wave race knockoff. Okay, lost my place. Neo Feud, Planet Rix 13, The Fidelio Incident, Bizarre Earthquake, Tidwag Vir Niemand, which is like some time something. It's like a Northern European language that's. It looked like a kind of trippy dream adventure game kind of thing. Slayaway Camp, Shadowside, and Lethis Daring Discoverers. And I thought there might have been one other, but okay. So yeah, and Cave. Wait, where's Cave Blaze? Oh, is it the email's doing that thing where it cuts it off, but it doesn't make it obvious? Okay, no, there's some more. Debris, Emerge, Cities of the Apocalypse, Odysseus Cosmos and his Robot Quest, Neon Code, Cat Interstellar. So some of these aren't necessarily top shelf stuff, but they had enough going for them that I was curious, and they might have been worth the 50 cents to $2.50 or something. I think some of the racing games I was a little more confident of, and those kind of maybe skewed out the average. A lot of $1.50 games, so. Yeah, so some of these could be duds. That's okay. I'm prepared to take the risk. Some of them I think are pretty promising though. Okay, so I'm saying Neon Code is a Hungarian game. Okay, well. And for utilities, again, I'm getting tempted by the dark side here. I figure, okay, well, if I do get an ultra wide, I want to be ready for it. So I ended up picking up Display Fusion because it was on sale for about $10. That would be more than I'd spend for a game, but this is like a long-term utility I might end up using. And I have a few hotkeys set already for like stacking stuff on the side or the center. And I think I'm going to get better with I've been thinking more about mouse gestures lately. I think I'm going to kind of work out a few rudimentary patterns. I'm actually, because I realized what I'm going to do, since I'm using a Rocot mouse now, my old one died, it actually has some extra buttons like right here, like here and here, and I never hit these accidentally. So those might be really good candidates for the mouse gestures, where I hold it down, and then when I'm holding those down, I do the gesture. So that way I won't trigger them accidentally, I won't trigger them in games. And having two will be good because I figure I'll do the left one for general gestures and the right one for potentially destructive ones, like close, delete, cut, rename, stuff like that. So I want to associate in my brain on the right side, I need to be more careful. But the left side, I'm kind of developing my own style for trying to get the gestures to go right, that feel good, but unlikely to trigger by accident. So. Okay, I'll grab you, Cyberlord127. He has to go soon. Ask your question, then I'm gonna get back to the other stuff. Let's see, and especially because I lost my place. There we go. There'll be a delay. Oh yeah, somebody's saying, yeah, I saw this comment for Gothos. They're saying there was a Batman versus Dracula question. There was a Dracula versus Batman episode. And I'm thinking, no, that sounded too tame from what I saw of it. I mean, for one, we have just one vampire. I mean, I guess if Batman does end up staking him through the heart, then okay. But I was thinking more like DC needs their own equivalent of Blade, and it'd be great to just mix that in with Batman. It's always how do I avoid any mouth noises with Freeman's Mind dialogue, tisk, lip smacks, etc. I know there's a way to help with this, but it just cannot be heard at all in his dialogue, like black magic. Well, I probably do have some of them that I miss. I try to filter those out as I'm editing. Maybe that's something I can get more help with later. They're usually not too bad, but yeah, I try to filter out just any clicks that I can. Let's see. But yeah, I'm sure I missed some. Yeah, I mean, it's just one vampire. No, we want like I want Batman going after a cabal of vampire or a coven. We need a nest of them. We basically need Batman to fill in Blade's shoes in the DC universe, is what I'm saying here. Like that seemed too tame what I saw. Yeah, and like how like the more modern Batman movies are like more edgy and like trying to be adult. Fine, let's bring in the vampires then, like so we can get kind of bloody with this, and like a more Christopher Nolan style Batman versus vampires. So, because I think that might go well, because Batman's not superhuman, but he could make up the difference with his gadgets, and his armor and everything, and trying to be one step ahead of them, that sort of thing. And plus, isn't a gadget nut like Batman a natural fit for vampire hunting? Because you don't have the natural abilities. Yeah, they had him going up against friggin' Superman in the Justice League or one of, or maybe it was Batman versus Superman. Yeah, like if he can go up against Superman, he can more than go up against vampires. All right. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's and there's nothing proprietary about vampires, so I think it's wasted potential, and it fits with the whole Bat motif. So, I mean, maybe if you're a hardcore Batman fan, you think it's not tasteful or something, but it would work for me. So he's talking about tropes and cliches of fantasy and science fiction that you've enjoyed. They mentioned several examples. Yeah, well, for fantasy, I like spectacle. So I want to see like the gigantic trees or floating islands or just like impossibly deep caverns with gem crystals and societies down there and things mysterious. Yeah, mysterious stuff in general I love. So it's, I like it when fantasy stuff doesn't hold back and we're just like, you're kind of filling your mind with wonder. Like, I'm kind of thinking, like, with Dungeons and Dragons, they have some of that, but like once you get to like the different planes, they have a lot of that sort of thing with like the Feywild or the Underdark or the Planescape stuff, the different things like that. So yeah, I like, gigantic statues. I like it when fantasy games just go all out. For science fiction, I mean, it can be a lot of different things, but I've noticed I've been gravitating a lot towards science fiction where like kind of different alternative societies are being shown. Where they're like, I recently finished the book. I decided I wanted to try to catch up on like, was it climate change science fiction? Because I figure, well, okay, I bet people are going to take a lot of guesses, and maybe if I read enough of them, I can get a good enough picture. So the one I just finished was called America City, and I feel like that one had a mix of stuff that was like really poignant and very plausible, and stuff that was like a little naive. It was heavily about like domestic immigration, where like a lot of the lower states are just becoming uninhabitable, but they're trying to come up to the northern states, and there's a lot of like interstate immigration resistance and politics that form around that, and that was interesting. I mean, that's not that sci-fi though. That's more down to earth. The one I'm reading, I just started now, is called Odds Against Tomorrow, which so far I'm still trying to get a grasp of what it's about. Well, Seattle's had a major earthquake, but it looks like that's where it just basically took it out, and they're using that as sort of a wedge for, well, not a wedge, a gateway towards. It sounds like we're heading in the direction of kind of like next level future prediction. So that sounds interesting. There's a Philip K. Dick novel about that, though I forgot the name of it. Maybe somebody knows in chat. I don't want to say it's where this guy does this cut. They made a movie out of it. I think it was Ben Affleck, where this guy does work for this corporation, and part of the process is it's like top secret, and his memory of the past few months is going to be erased, but he's going to be paid handsomely for it. So the paycheck, okay. And like I don't want to give away the twist if you want to go see that one, but what ends up happening is he does it, his memory's gone, so for the work he did, except he hasn't been paid. Instead, he just has like a handful of these odd items, and he's kind of pissed about that, and he's running into trouble. So yeah, I like stuff like that has like sort of like mind-bending premises, that sort of thing, where you're trying to figure out what's going on, or it's really different way of thinking about things, that sort of thing. Like, I'm trying to think of some other examples, but so I don't know. Maybe Odds Against Tomorrow is going to head in that direction of like future prediction, that sort of thing. Well, David Lynch. Somebody say David Lynch movies. David Lynch also likes to get just as weird as possible, and that's not always my thing. I like some grounding in reality. Like, I love surreal humor. So if you're getting weird, but it's funny, you know how you're doing it, then that's usually enough for me. But if it's just like, hey, let's head over to Madness Town, then I may not. That's not my thing as much. That's kind of why I like Twin Peaks a lot, was because you had like these weird, funny moments, and it was kind of like half and half of like a typical kind of TV show, and David Lynch kind of breaking through there. So I like the counterbalance. Where if it's just David Lynch's own vision, then I mean, it's interesting and it's artistic, but it's not really what I'm looking for exactly. But yeah, I think I mentioned it earlier a while back. Like, there was an Isaac Asimov story. Jeez, what? Yeah, I think it was Foundations of no. Well, Foundation is interesting too. Caves of Steel, I think, was it? And that's a real alternative society where Earth is like this megapolis now, and they have like space colonies, and relationships are strange. Transportation's very different. Uh, that sort of thing. So I don't know. I like seeing alternate societies. I'm really big on that in science fiction. And time travel is usually a good one for me. Another thing I like. Did I just lose the thought now? Oh, come on. I just had it. Oh, yeah. Where, like, with Star Trek, somebody in the comments mentioned before that they preferred they liked what I like, which they called it the anomaly of the week. And those are the Star Trek episodes I like, where they're just going in and investigating something really strange happening. So, not as much I mean, yeah, that may sound kind of contradictory with Star Trek yeah, I guess here's the thing. I like alternative society stuff, but I feel like I'm kind of familiar with what's going on in Star Trek society, and then the alternatives, yeah. So if they're coming down to some weird planet and there's an alternative society going on there that they're discovering, that's pretty cool. But as far as Star Trek itself, I feel like it's kind of played out. I kind of know what the Klingons are all about, the Vulcans and everything. So unless we get something really so it can sometimes become just sort of a space opera kind of thing about the interrelationships between them. It's like, well, that might have been interesting initially, but they're not that weird. I mean, it's like I mean, you could, for a lot of them, this could almost just be different countries, with how they're behaving, or just a different personality type, and the society isn't like that alien. Whereas, yeah, well, like in Rama, or the Rama sequels, like the Octospiders, or is that what they're called? I forget. They were very different, and they're interesting. It's like just a totally different kind of society. And there's like a few overlaps and communication. So it's much more alien in that. Yeah, somebody's saying Star Wars, Star Trek, Stargate, StarCraft, it's all the same. Yeah, to a degree. So, yeah, somebody's saying the Foundation trilogy book's riveting. Yeah, Foundation was really interesting because you're spanning like thousands of years in those books, and like the sequels are kind of pretty different than the original one too. Like the sequel, it's like they kind of decided to just stick on this one time period and then have this other thing going on, which is okay. But like the original one, it's interesting because you're seeing like rise and fall of civilizations, and they get very different. So, okay, so more questions. What's your go-to method for stress management? I don't know, man. Like, try to solve my problems, the worst problems, but I do exercise daily. That no doubt helps with it. I do that more for just my concentration and just not having certain bad feelings I get if I don't exercise, but for sure it's related. But you can still be kind of warned. You can still be kind of on edge mentally, even if you're exercising. I mean, but it's like a necessary component too. I mean, yeah, I like being able to unwind and watch movies or play games, that sort of thing, or listen to music. Am I planning on reviewing the first Phantasmagoria? I don't have immediate plans for it. I mean, two was where it's at. However, I should plug Conversations with Curtis. He's done talking about Phantasmagoria 2, and the next episode, the live stream, he's gonna interview, I forget her name, but she's the lead actress in Phantasmagoria. So if you want more on that, check out Conversations with Curtis. Hosted by Paul Morgan Stetler, the lead actor for Curtis Craig, from 2. Okay, yeah, he noticed how I showed the clip from the tank movie T-34 on YouTube in Martian Gothic. Yeah, I wanted a scene where we just had like obvious tank controls, and like I was also I was also trying to check out Fury because that is, and I also was seeing if there was anything in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. And T-34 had the best clip. It's just like, yes, and then I just wanted like real obvious literal tank controls to insert in there. Um, what are some of your favorite films that you think an English-speaking audience likely hasn't seen? Well, I maybe haven't seen as many foreign films as I have. I think I mentioned before my favorite foreign film would probably be Das Boot, because I mean that's just a solid like suspense thriller war movie. Trying to think of my favorites. Because like there's plenty of foreign ones I think they're like all right, but like they're not like I'm blown away. Whereas Das Boot is just great movie. Maybe the chat will have some suggestions I'm not thinking of. But I saw one not long ago. Again, it's not great, but it is absolutely interesting. Yeah, in fact, it was okay. Like, to put in perspective, I was a little bit disappointed by the Doctor Strange movie because I was hoping it would get even weirder. And it's like, well, okay, mirror dimension. So this isn't really another world. This is just sort of like a house of mirrors. It's like, okay, well, come on, we can do better than that. Well, I saw a movie environment-wise that did better than that, and I've forgotten the title. It's Russian. It might have been called Coma, but I mean, not the Michael Crichton one based on the Michael Crichton story. This is like a couple years old, like maybe just one or two. And it has like this wild dreamscape environment. Like if you're big on like wild environments, you should go see that movie. Like it's almost like, I would say it's almost like what it looks like when Minecraft gets really out there with the seed generation. It's kind of like environment-wise, it's a little bit like Inception meets Minecraft, maybe a little bit of What Dreams May Come or something in there. Like the movie itself I thought was so-so, but the environment's first rate. Okay, some people are saying it's called Coma. Maybe you can say what year. Probably like 2019 or 2020 or something. Yeah, it's a Russian movie. So yeah, if you love like exotic environments, you should absolutely go watch it. Okay, saying it's 2019. Let's see. I'm trying to think of some other foreign ones. I haven't seen Arcane. Somebody's asking about that. The screen name, oh, please give me a beta. So yeah, they're on the opposite end. So yeah, they might be well suited to Linux then, or Windows 10. They're on the opposite end. They're ready for the beta software. Okay, somebody's saying the platform. Have I seen that? I'm checking IMDb for the platform. It sounds like I might have. I don't know. Oh, okay. Well, that's another. Yeah. Well, I mentioned it in one of the game dungeons. Oh yeah, the platform. I did see that. I mentioned that on one of the game dungeons. One of the. Yeah, I said yeah. Like if you're a fan of the movie Cube, it has similar vibes as that. The platform. It's kind of dark, but it's interesting. Yeah, it has similar vibes as Cube. Let's see. Yeah, that one. Oh, yeah, well, there's a show, I think it's Portuguese. It's kind of a mix between pretty interesting versus stuff I can skip right past, called 3%. And it's sort of, what would I compare it to? It's not as intense as Hunger Games, but the general plot is like this. It's this society that's based on like trying to pass these trials in order to enter this kind of more paradise-like area. But it does not require them to kill each other like Hunger Games or Battle Royale. So it's kind of odd, and well, the tests are kind of odd. I'd say some parts are like the actual test part I found very interesting and entertaining, and like a lot of the in-between stuff, I could skip right past it. I need to watch more Polish movies. Somebody's asking me that. I'm trying to think of some other foreign. I think there was a Spanish movie where, yeah, again, it wasn't great, but it was interesting. Where like people are having this like intense agoraphobia, where where like I think it's agoraphobia, where you can't go outside, and it's almost like a zombie survival thing where they're trying to do the best they can by staying indoors. Maybe the chat will remember the name of it. I don't remember the title, but it was interesting. I saw like a French Canadian zombie movie. I also forgot the name of, and it had a 16:10 aspect ratio. I remember that. That one was more recent. It was pretty typical for a zombie movie, but okay. Somebody's saying The Last Days, 2013. Maybe that certainly sounds like something I've seen. That might be it. Okay, well, there's one from 2014. There's one from 2005. Geez, looks like that's a popular name. There's one from 1998, The Last Days. Okay, 2013. There we go. Don't name your movie. Yeah, that looks like it. The guy looks familiar. So yeah, it was okay. It wasn't like mind blowing, but if you're into like apocalypse kind of movies, it's worth a watch. I've seen Pontypool, and I've also seen. There was another movie that was basically the exact same movie. I forget what it was. That's like an interesting premise, but I felt like it was a bit dry to hold for the length of a movie. Basically, the idea is you're getting the entire zombie apocalypse from inside the radio station, hearing reports, and it's like, well, it's okay, but come on, we kind of want more, I should watch Day of the Beast, 1995. Spanish movie about a guy believing it's the end of the world. Okay, well, I haven't seen that. I can maybe look into that. But yeah, I'm drawing a blank on like foreign films I've seen where I just loved it. Besides Das Boot, America has an advantage of having a lot of resources devoted towards the entertainment industry. I don't remember the name of the French Canadian zombie movie. It was kind of recent, I think, like past couple of years. Again, it was all right. I mean, it wasn't. If you wanted a zombie movie, it delivered. So, okay, more questions. I should probably get the live ones soon. Okay, lost my place. So I'm bothering him since the Echo Game Dungeon. What is the best anti-aliasing method and how to force anti-aliasing onto a game? He can't unsee the shimmering. Yes. I'm both sorry and I'm not that I showed people that. Like, I don't want to inflict the pain, but at the same time, I want it to change. I think it's getting better, though. Okay, well, if it's a DirectX 9 game, if you have a NVIDIA card, you want the program, or DirectX 9 and earlier, you want the program NVIDIA Inspector, and then do a search for NVIDIA AA flags. And a lot of games can have these values, these hexadecimal values you can enter into that, and then you can get anti-aliasing working that way. For DirectX 10 and up, I think you're like entirely at the mercy of the software, and pretty much your only option is upsampling, which basically you run the game at a higher resolution than what your monitor is, and then it downsamples that, which is incredibly resource intensive. Although I will, two things about that. One, from my very limited experience, I think even for me, it seems like 4K might be enough that it stops bugging me, even without AA or just like a very basic shader one like FXAA. Don't have to have AA if you play Flash games. Well, Flash games, a lot of them support it. Like, if it's pixel art, you don't need it. But the other thing was, okay, I don't think I've ever seen this, but I've kind of wanted it. Where this is the sort of, God, so many things in computers are like this, where this is a very simple concept, and for sure it's possible, but there may not be any software on Earth that does this currently. The concept is, say, you hate anti-aliasing, but you can't take the performance hit of like really upscaling things. So let's say you want to like reduce your resolution, like have it, but you could downsample from that. So like you hate it, you just want it smoothed out. So like let's say you have a 1440 monitor and you want to run the game scaled from 1280 by 720, so like 2:1. But you can't do that with like on NVIDIA is called dynamic DSR, I think. You can't do that with their supported upscaling, because that only upscales higher than the resolution of your monitor. And I think it's the same on AMD. However, you could tell the software to just render it at this resolution and tell it, okay, now downsample it afterwards. So it's like you're upsampling, then downsampling. Upscaling, then downsampling. I think there might be no software present that does that. But if you just hate anti-aliasing and you're willing to like reduce the definition a little bit, I mean, I think it'd be good as an option, so. Okay, I should keep moving on. But yeah, it sucks. Just use the upscaling on NVIDIA or AMD for most games and hope it doesn't screw up the HUD too badly, and just try to go with older games so you can handle the performance hit. Or if they're old enough, you can use NVIDIA Inspector. I don't think AMD has an option that really lets you force a lot on like DirectX 9. Prior to DirectX 9, you can probably force it on AMD. But I'm not sure. Okay, I'm just going to skip a few more questions because it's been going on so long. Okay, I'll answer this one quick. You've talked about art styles and mechanics that immediately turn you off in a game. I was wondering, are there any art style mechanics that make you instantly want to play the game even with no other information known? Yeah, there's a few. I mean, I still research it, or basically. One for pixel art, ones that have that sort of, to me, it's very similar, like the 90s computer VGA look / Super Nintendo look, where it's pixel art, but you have like really nice shading and lots of good colors. That stuff I can find appealing almost immediately. Another one I think is like kind of like mixed modern look / high tech stuff, like where it's like it looks like we're like 50 years in the future or something. Like I'm actually not that interested in it, but like the Battlefield 2042 kind of has that look. I'm thinking of the game Brink, kind of has that. What are some others that? Yeah, stuff that looks like it's like 50 years in the future, where you have like a little bit mix of contemporary and like futuristic. I think maybe, what was it? I only saw a few screenshots of it. Maybe Detroit Become Human might have had that. Oh, The Uncertain had that look to it. Those are adventure games. What are some others? I think I've listed enough people probably know what I'm talking about. Or Anno 2070 kind of has that look to it. You know, where you have like futuristic looking things, but also more contemporary things. I like that look a lot. Okay. Somebody said, where is it? And that's the full comment. Though the replies as though they said something else. Okay, and they're linking to a Twitter. Oh, I was late. That's why. Yeah. I was late with this video chat. I got time zones mixed up. I forgot UTC doesn't have time zones. Okay, I'm skipping a few more questions. The questions that need more votes if I'm going to get to them because they're getting towards the end here. Well, somebody's asked, they said they got kind of depressed in Eastern Europe because they weren't able to communicate a lot. How have I been able to manage? Well, part of it's because I can talk to my wife. I met a couple of English speakers before the pandemic. I haven't really been able to keep up with them since then. I for a while before they kind of shut down, there was kind of a local English speakers group we were attending. But I also have I have probably above average resilience to kind of being on my own if I have like some entertainment and projects to keep my mind busy. I mean, I still like social contact, but I can kind of flip either way on that. So, but yeah, I guess probably the best advice would be like seek out some English speaking groups so you can kind of acclimate towards the language as opposed to having to like hurdle over it. Okay, sorry, I'm just skipping more questions because we're towards the end, and I kind of want to go for the ones that are like either really easy or else I find very interesting. Okay, well this one's easy. They're saying, yeah, it's in comments of your videos saying they think of you as family. How do you feel about this? Sure. I mean, I only half joke about like the like reaching out for like as SOS to stay somewhere if things went badly, or if people joke about like a cult compound. I don't have desire to be a cult leader or anything like that. However, I do have a desire if society was collapsing to have a stable situation, and I'm totally not above using those kinds of connections to try to get something off the ground if I thought it was possible. But I mean, it wouldn't be an exploitive thing. It would just be like, okay, all these people are willing to come to some compound. Fine, let's do it. Like, be kind of like that. So yeah, I don't really have the desire to have a cult, but I'll absolutely go with a cult path if it's like the better option. So. Yeah, somebody's asking about future racing game dungeon. Yes, I have one planned. Probably not going to make it for this month though. But yeah, there's one I've been wanting to do a while. So don't worry. And it's one of the more significant ones in my eyes. You can try and speculate which one that is. Okay, well, I do want to mention this. Well, I answered this. Maybe they missed it. They were asking progress about the secret weapon. Sorry to disappoint. The Dream software was the secret weapon, the layout for that. Now that said, I may actually make sort of like, not really a follow-up, but just sort of a bonus video for that, sort of a lower effort one. I've been doing experimentation with, I've gotten farther than I would have thought. It's what I would call a stepping stone, where the idea is I've been able to get software with promising results of turning 2D video into 3D. I mean, and it has some bugs I want to iron out, but I think I've found paths for all of it. Like the depth, like the way, there is surprisingly little software to generate like either video or 3D models lots of 3D models, like batch process it, based off of depth maps. I found software to generate the depth maps, like Midas is what it's called. Version 3 is the best one. Now, the main problem with it is it has a flicker to it when you do it on video footage, which makes it very poor for watching back a video. Now, I sort of used a smoothing technique to kind of average it out, but apparently there's a much more processor-intensive version of like the version 2 that's out there, and I wasn't able to get that working. They had like install directions on Linux, even though the version 3, they had install directions for both Windows and Linux. So I think it still is cross-platform. But the thing is, I had a couple people look into it, and the first person has trouble even getting it working on Linux or Windows 10. They ran into problems with Conda. Like they got like a fatal error on Linux. So yeah, if you're interested in helping with this, by all means, email me. I could, if at least the progress, I could credit you in the bonus video. It would be a sort of a low-key video because I don't want to talk about that or make a video on it unless you can do it. Like I hate videos that are like show all these amazing things and then the public is never gonna have access to it. Like I've had some decent results like right now, but I think the real key is to convert this stuff to 3D, to 3D models, but have them be dynamically changing. So if you have like a video clip that's thousands of frames, so what it would do is it would just kind of like morph the model to these frames. That's beyond my level, how to do that. And it would have to generate, yeah, you can see the tear in my sweatshirt there. It would be able to generate the model from depth maps. I'm getting some help with it, but I don't know. It might be running into snags. It's the sort of thing where I kind of want to throw even more people at it. So the end result is if you could have almost any 2D video, and if we can get, I'm seeing a thread here between these different pieces of software, and I think nobody's connected completely. But like all the individual components feel like they're there. The end results would be to, you have a 2D video, and with enough processing, you could put it on VR or something, and it would basically be halfway decent 3D, like better than you would think. However, it would only be facing it head on, because if you go from the side, then it's going to get distorted extremely quickly because the data isn't there. That would take next level AI filling in the gaps. But so it's not the dream software, but it would be, again, a stepping stone. It's an impressive stepping stone. So, you could take, in fact, if I do make the video, I would want to run it on dark spore footage to show what's possible with this. I mean, I would do some other stuff also, but like I'd love to show it on some completely dead games. And like, yeah, here, check this out in 3D, and then what was I gonna say? Yeah, again, rosswscott@gmail.com if you think you have like the technical chops to assist with that. Is there a reason using depth maps instead of photogrammetry? Show me the pipeline to get that working. Like, see, that's just, like, okay, see, the thing is, there's too many steps. With photogrammetry, it can't have, see, that would be closer to the, yes, the reason I'm doing that is because I've actually been able to do this. Like, it's still a little buggy and needs some ironing out, but the pieces there to iron out, I think, exist. I've been able to convert it to video using the software Stereo Photo Maker Pro, and there was another one, that one's free. There's another one that's has a little bit better results, though it's a little less flexible. I think it was called DepthGate. That one's not free and it's pretty expensive. But they have a fully functioning demo. They just plaster some text on it on the end result. So photogrammetry, it's like I would need something that I simply feed it in and then I just press a couple steps or something, and the end result is I'm running around this map in VR. I think there's like way too much like stitching, manual stitching involved, and like exporting it to modeling software and then having to be familiar with that software. And it's like, if it's the sort of thing where if I can learn it, then it's basically automated and we could almost write a script to automate it, then that's all right. But if it's always gonna be, you have to go in there and manually stitch the stuff, it's like, I don't have the time for that. There's too much stuff I wanna save. So it's, so that's the thing. This is basically at a point where the video generation is automated. The reason I wanna go with 3D models is because sometimes the depth just isn't good enough, and and what I really want to do is kind of stretch it in like the Z-axis, which would be pretty easy if you have them as 3D model, at least in theory. So if you have like 1,000 frames and they're all like a little too flat, but the depth is there, well then you can maybe run that into this 3D model software and it says like, all right, let's stretch the depth like 200% or 300%. And so it would be a little bit of a tunnel vision depending on how you tweaked it, but you would get that wow factor, I think. So yeah, I'll make a video on this if I get it like fully functional, like ready to go, like, okay guys, here you go, this is how you do it. Because it's not the dream software, but it's interesting, like the stepping stone, you know? Okay. A few more questions. Would you be okay with somebody making a raw spot based on all your previous video chats? Yeah, I might not be that interested in it, but yeah, I'm fine if people want to do that. I was thinking this question reminded me, there's oh, I missed another one. Okay, well, it reminded me of like a Star Trek episode where they tried Next Generation, where they had this society built on clones and their genetic material was like becoming too frail, so they needed fresh samples, and they tried to take it from the crew. And I was thinking, well, if I was in that situation, and the crew acts like this is this big deal in violation of their rights, I'm thinking, well, yeah, I guess, but it's not really that big a deal. I mean, they just take an injection, you never have to see them again. I mean, yeah, it might be a bigger problem for my clones, but this is what that society is wanting, so figure similar mentality, you know? Okay. Got a real broad question. What are some of the criticisms of Freeman's Mind you disagree with? Any you do agree with? I don't even know what all the criticisms. I think one I heard that I don't even know what the criticisms are necessarily, but one I definitely agree with is that like for Half-Life 2, it felt like I was just screaming a whole lot. And it's like, yeah, that's because the pacing just isn't the same as Half-Life 1. If he's constantly being shot at, it's like he has to react. But I felt like I'm sort of hostage to the flow of the game then. I'm sure there are more. So I'm saying non-diegetic music. I don't know what that word means. Even though I've seen it before. Okay. Diegetic. Relating to the primary qualities of those texts that we understand. Oh yeah, so like non-game music. In Freeman's Mind, enhance things. Yeah, I had that idea actually for Half-Life 2 way back before I even started Freeman's Mind 2. I had the idea of him just playing the radio when he was on the boat. I thought it'd be kind of funny. And I don't think I'd be able to do it now because of copyright, but like one of the songs I was thinking, like as he's going by and people are shooting at him, I was thinking of him blasting the Red Hot Chili Peppers version of Love Roller Coaster. It's like, roller coaster. Like, and like it's all this gunfire going down in the middle of that. But yeah, and like I was even like contemplating maybe having like a talk show or something as part of it. Just like it would have taken a lot more work to pull off. But yeah, That was the main thought. I had that thought way back, like before I even started on 2. Okay, a few more questions. Valve has released a beta branch of Half-Life 2 months ago that apparently fixes a bunch of things and adds Vulkan rendering support. Well, that kind of sucks about the Vulkan. Well, unless I can keep it on, because you can't force as high anti-aliasing on Vulkan. And unless they really support some like high-end super sampling option, the video quality would take a bit of a dive. However, if that's still optional as a renderer and they fix a bunch of bugs, then yeah, it might be. There's plenty of like animation and demo recording bugs that I'd love that fix. The question is that what they were focused on? Might not be, you know. Although then we have to like recode the gravity gun knockback that I wanted to keep. Dropship's not aiming at the player during the fight of Lighthouse Point. Well, I might actually be okay with that. So, the beta suffers from micro stuttering. Screw that. I have enough problems with that with Source or other games. Forget it then. Sorry, you already lost me. The beta suffers from micro stuttering. So. Somebody's saying just super sample, downsample stuff from 4K. Best AA solution. Not better than what I have on Freeman's Mind. Freeman's Mind is using 8x standard grid SSAA. So that would be more like, what? That wouldn't exactly be 8K. That might be in the neighborhood of like 5 or 6K. I think it's not exactly a 1-to-1 thing. I think 4K is essentially like 2x or 2x2 super sampling, or sometimes for some episodes I used 4x4 SSAA, which would be like that would be like 16K, I think. So, I mean, yeah, I'm obviously not demanding that from all my games because I have to confront reality. But if I can output that, why not? You know. Yeah, they don't like the blurriness of actual AA solutions. Yeah, well, there's a special flag for that with Half-Life 2. For on NVIDIA, use 10, the hexadecimal number 000 10C1 tends to sharpen it up, so you don't have additional blur that like shouldn't be there. Okay, sorry. A few more questions. I'll take live ones. Oh yeah, they're saying how Freeman's Mind thoughts and observation Half-Life 2 world and characters partly inspired by my own when playing the game. Is this true for Black Mesa East portions such as Alex, Mossman, etc.? Yes. I think I didn't really have strong thoughts on any of the characters. I was just kind of confused on what the story was when I played it. But the thought that absolutely carried over was, wait a minute, I've been followed this entire time. It's been an absolute friggin' war zone getting here. Like, this place is compromised. Like, they've been following me the entire time. And sure enough, that's what ended up happening. So, I mean, it doesn't take a genius to figure that part out. I mean, look how much firepower they threw at him. It's like, and how many times did he kill them and then he has a bit of a piece and then there's like more troops coming for him. It's like they just keep coming. So I absolutely had that thought when I went to Black Mesa East, that like, why is everybody acting so calm and like acting like this is over and this isn't a problem anymore? Like, I felt like the place is gonna get stormed. So, yeah. So that one, yeah, that one was, yeah, that's definitely a thoughts I have. Yeah, the characters I didn't really have strong opinions on for the most part. From what I remember, I'm trying to think of like if there's a character really well, Grigori I kind of liked. So I mean, Eli was kind of like had sort of a charm to him, but I wasn't liking how they were kind of like making all these references to stuff you should know. It's like, wait a minute, I don't remember that in the game. So Freeman was told the truth of his existence as a character in a web series after he was done screaming. How do you think he react to you personally? Or do you approve of you and what you do? Or do you hate you for giving him such a horrible life? I'm not the one who gave him a horrible life. That's Valve. You should take that up with Valve. I'm giving him a voice. So yeah, I maybe said stuff he wouldn't think, but take it up with Valve. Okay, I think I answered this question last time. Asking would I do a play session of Fortress Forever, Team Fortress Classic again? It needs players badly. I have a bit of a grudge against Fortress Forever. No, I still like the game, but more like I was trying to tell them this from the beginning, that they were like trying to be way too exclusive to new players. I was proposing the idea of having like an alternative Fortress Forever, you have like the Team Fortress 2, like meet the demo man, meet the engineer, having like an alternative little skits as machinimas for Fortress Forever. Back when I was on the machinima channel, they didn't care. They weren't interested. And like I was trying to point out like these objective things, they didn't care. Like the only thing I did that they actually cared, that I think you could actually blame me on the influence of it, was there was a level Palermo where I said like the lighting is so off on this. And they said like they were suggesting, well, not everything's gonna look like this level. And so what I did is I found something to decompile the map, and then I just plugged in like some light values that were a lot better. And then I posted a screenshot of that in the forums, like, no, this lighting would look a lot better. And then like within days, they're working on that. So it's like they couldn't even conceptualize it until I pointed out like there were objective things wrong with it, where they had like the sky, there are clouds in the sky, and like the sun is like in front of that. And that was like a minor thing, but like the lighting of Fortress Forever was just like yuck for Palermo, that map. So it's like once I show it, then it's like, oh, well now we can't be upstaged. We have to do this. So I don't know. But yeah, Fortress Forever is fun. I can maybe go back to that again. Okay, and I'll take chat questions in just a second. Go ahead and start typing them. Do the @Ross broadcast. I still don't have the equal signs thing set up. And somebody's asking if, also Fortress Forever really broke the balance for, I want to say, a couple years during like its prime thing. And they were like entirely focused on capture the flag and not the attack and defend stuff. Whereas I thought for sure the attack and defend stuff would attract more new players than capture the flag. So it's, and then they broke things in between releases, and then like it's like you had to beat them over the head with evidence, and even then, like it kind of felt like the Emperor's New Clothes sometimes with with talking to the developers. Okay, let's see. What's your 2 cents on the year's Video Game Awards and the current controversy surrounding it? I'm not even aware of the controversy surrounding it. I've sort of checked out of most awards. Here, I'll give a test, though maybe I'm influencing it by making this video. I should save it for next month. But here's my test. If it's a game awards show for this year and Hunt Down is not even nominated, then the awards show is a joke. Like it's a joke. Like, okay, maybe you can make the argument that wasn't the best game this year, but if it's not even nominated, then you're not. I mean, the graphics are great, the music's great, the writing's funny, the gameplay's great, and like I had a smooth experience the whole thing. I mean, it's just a solid, great game. It's maybe not the best game ever, but I mean, if it's not even nominated, it means it's just some in crowd wanting to nominate what I think it's like I see it as almost like a social networking thing more than like trying to figure out what the most people like, that sort of thing. But like I can't. I'm certain whatever could get nominated, it's going to have an inferior game to hunt down. So, Freeman said he didn't want Alex to cry. Did he say it because he didn't want to deal with it, or did he grow some compassion, or is it something else? It's hey, okay, pretend you're visiting somebody's house and then some kid starts crying. Like, you don't want to deal with that. And so it was that kind of mentality. It just, yeah. He didn't want to deal with that. He has enough things to worry about. And this would complicate things. Like maybe the other people think he hurt her and he doesn't, Freeman was very goal oriented in that part. Like he wants to he's paranoid, although it's not paranoia if they are out to get you. Have you seen the new Last Stand on Steam? Yeah, 1 million people have mentioned that to me. I'm going to try it out eventually. Let's see. Is the next episode coming soon? Coming before? Well, I don't know which. The next Game Dungeon, it's hard to say when it's going to come out. The Christmas episode better be coming out before Christmas. That's my. In fact, I may even be willing to. Someone else is going to do the bulk of the editing, but if it doesn't work out, if it's like so-so, then I'll just come in and clean up after them, I think, if I have to. I'm hoping they can handle almost all of it, though. Well, hey, he's in the chat sometimes. It's Master Cookie. He's my candidate for editing the Christmas episode. I have somebody else working on the other Game Dungeons, so pressure's on for him. Are you planning on baking or cooking Christmas? Any other interesting plans? I kind of hate cooking. I mostly just do it in the past because I can be a sweets addict, but I'm trying not to have too many. Thoughts on the centralization of the internet? People are using a far less variety of sites and going to main sites, mostly leaving niche sites pretty much abandoned. Yeah, I guess that really sucks if like the niche sites can't afford to keep themselves up, because they could have valuable information on them. Like I'm a big believer in the long tail of things. For centralization, I kind of feel like the internet's such a big deal that like past a certain point, like there needs to be maybe some more stuff stepping in. Like, it's like, is this something we really want to entrust to a for-profit corporation that isn't going to have the needs of the users at heart? Like, hey, yeah, everybody is really loving that removing the dislike button on YouTube, right? See, that's a change that's deeply unpopular with users, and they can do it because they have a de facto monopoly. So, I mean, I think it was like, what was it, the original antitrust law? It's something like if you had like 75% or more of the market share, then you were vulnerable to like antitrust action. Maybe something like that. I'm dreaming now. Like I said, my politics are fantasy. I'm sorry, I'm scrolling up so I can see the question here. I forgot that you guys see it that way too. If we enforced antitrust law, I think that could solve several problems. But I don't see us doing that. I think we're in a new age, I'm kind of cynical, so I kind of see us heading more towards like sort of a neo-feudalism. Like it's different. Like it's not the same, but in some ways it's similar. So the best we can kind of keep things afloat, the better. It's kind of how I feel about things. I'm going to echo this sentiment with Linux. Not suggesting Linux is the feudal. More like I can see Microsoft making things so bad on Windows that Linux is what's left, So the better Linux gets, the better. for everyone, potentially. So it's... Okay, I gotta scroll up just to see the question. Time estimate on the next episode of Ross Rants. Oh, I don't know. Sorry, that one's like a little lower on priority. Thoughts on 15.ai? I don't know what that is. Let me, okay, I'll click on the link. And they want me to accept the cookie, and it says, please wait 10 seconds. I don't know. Is this like a chatbot thing? I don't really care about those. That's more my wife's turf. She's interested in chatbots. I mean, if that's not a chatbot, sorry. I'm just not that. I'm not familiar with it. Ross, a caveman has just been thought out, showing interest in video games. Scientists have tasked you with giving him a sample of a video game to be his first. What do you pick? Oh man, that would have been a better voted question, so I got more time to think about it. What's a fun one for a caveman? See, for a first-person shooter might be too big a leap. I mean, I remember even struggling with like with Super Mario Brothers. So you might want like a fun, easy platformer. Maybe might be a good one. I mean, maybe one of the Marios, because they got easier from Super Mario Brothers. I kind of want to, maybe Super Mario World, but there's some mechanics that are still kind of off because you got to know to hold down the run button and stuff like that, and the hand-eye coordination could be tricky. Because I'm remembering what it was like to play Mario when I was like 6 or 7. You know, like I was not good to start off. I played at a friend's house. That's a good question. I might have to think about it for next time, or else maybe chat has. Oh yeah, we have Caveman Ugg Olympics, huh? Well, you know, I'm not sure that's such an accurate portrayal that it might just be too weird for him. like what's that giant monster? You know, like why are they dressed like this? This is sort of, yeah, the cartoon caveman aren't exactly what the portrayal was. I'm just trying to think of like what would be most fun and most accessible. That's a good question, because a lot of video games are based off of kind of an existing knowledge base of how to play games. So you want something real easy. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. So I'm saying Pong or Tetris. Well, Tetris maybe. Pong's like a bit basic. I think we can do better than Pong. I mean, yeah, I guess maybe some like Space Invaders, but I don't know. I kind of want to like impress them as much as possible, but then also something that's really accessible. Do you miss the absence of the glue-on gun in Half-Life 2? Not really. I mean, yeah, it's nice to having guns, but not for Freeman's mind. It doesn't really make a difference. What's the real reason for YouTube hiding the like-dislike ratio? Well, if I was going to be conspiracy theory, I'd say there's a lot of corporate influence where when you have, there's probably multiple corporations, when they roll out something that's very unpopular and the users let the companies know that, the head-ups don't like seeing that. And then the marketing people, it's like maybe they get fired over this. So it's like, yeah, we tried to push your terrible product or idea and people don't like it. Okay, well, you're fired. You know, you know what? The metaverse had comments disabled, and and likes and dislikes disabled, because then somebody knows it's not going to be popular the way they presented it. Oh yeah, and I think YouTube. I think it was like the 2018 Rewind that was like one of the most disliked videos in history, because it came across as like really fake and cringy. I just skimmed through it. I couldn't even watch all of it. I mean, it just came across as bad, and I would not shock me if like some head ups at YouTube took that personally, and what are some other things that, because I mean, the reason they give is pretty lame, because you know what? You could always disable likes and comments. So say you're running a channel that is targeted, fine, take away the likes and dislikes away. Or take away the comments. Like if people like the videos, but you're just getting harassed to hell and back, fine. They had those options. You could have disabled that. I thought the like and dislike stuff was helpful for some videos, especially if you're trying to like gauge information. And like now it's, well, I guess you have to sift through the comments. So. Any updates on the movie Face Capture Unreal Engine? That got delayed. Hit me up if you need a developer for something. Yeah, for facial capture, few. I mean, I may have an option, but it would be nice to have a backup. Because the option I'm going to be using is pretty hacky. And an option that does not involve buying an iPhone. Like, Apple came in, bought some of the best software that worked with regular depth cameras, shut it down, and then now the only solutions you're seeing are, yeah, just buy an iPhone 10. It's only $1,000. When I could be buying depth cameras that have even better specs, you know? It's just, yeah, I'm annoyed by that. I haven't played Star Control. What do I think of it? I think a lot of 4X games have a big learning curve. Do you think there's any kind of realistic chance they'll ever get a good alternative to YouTube? Or they're too big and will just crush any competition? Without big changes, I think it'll stay the way it is. But a lot of things could change. You never know. I mean, we can have a Carrington event. That would certainly change things. It's conceivable you could eventually get a politician in that would just start trust busting, because the laws are on the books. Any president could do this. Like just decide, hey, you own like, what was YouTube on, like 90% of streaming video, maybe more. That's too big under the antitrust laws. We're gonna break you up under the Department of Justice. We're gonna investigate you, and yeah, you're gonna have to split up the companies. So yeah, Google does not own YouTube anymore, and YouTube has to get split up. That's what they did to, was it? Yeah, Bell. But I feel like that's kind of a long shot, because there's a lot of entrenchment in politics to ensure we don't get somebody like that in office. So maybe you could have competition from China that could grow and then try to extend to the West, and then if they're offering better features than YouTube, maybe you can get enough critical mass to tread into their territory. So those are the main scenarios I can see, but those are all like kind of long shots. So I mean, it's not impossible, but it would take big changes. Are you going to give more background or growing more to Eddie? I had a thought that I might even mention him in the next episode, but I forget what it was about. So, do you know Louis Rossman? I know of Louis Rossman. I don't know him personally. He has entertaining videos sometimes. Yeah, he does write and repair. Yeah, he's basically trying to do what I'm doing, except with repairable items. So. Okay, I'm going to go. This went on longer than I wanted to again. I'm going to get some food. Yeah, I guess have a nice Christmas. And yeah, I guess I mentioned the birthday video. My birthday's on the 28th, though I have plenty of stuff already. I shouldn't have even said that. Although the Music Quest and this depth software is probably the stuff I'm most interested in. So it kind of takes specialized stuff that I've been most interested in for a birthday present. But I appreciate you watching the videos. Sorry I'm behind. I still think I'm going to have impressive stuff within the next 3 months. The plan here is more game dungeons, a Freeman's Mind spree, and a couple like big side videos that I think people find interesting. So That's what I hope to have like Q1 2022, but we'll see what happens. – 2022 totally won't be as bad as the last 2 years. Who knows? I think we're entering interesting times for economics. And my wife's knocking on the door, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop it. I'll see you later.